Hey everybody, it's Gauntlet, and today I'll be playing an Innistrad Midnight Hunt Draft Challenge. This will be my first draft challenge on the channel, and the draft challenge events are the most high-stakes draft events on Arena, so you can expect some fierce competition, some high entry fees, and the potential for some pretty big prizes if you manage to do well. We will be playing best of 3 matches after we draft, and without further ado, let's hop into here and see if we can't get a sweet deck, and we are starting off with a sweet rare for sure. Burn Down the House. This is seeing some standard play. It is so powerful. It is 5 mana to either wrath the board, just clear it out, 5 damage to each creature and each planeswalker, or 5 mana to create 3 1/1 red devil tokens with haste, and when they die, deal 1 damage to any target. So the reason this card is so powerful is it is very, very good when you are on the back foot, when you're on the defensive, your opponent's winning the game, maybe they're beating you down with a ton of creatures. Well, this is kind of a big safety button to get everything cleared, and the fact that it has a backup plan for if you're already in a good position, you have the better board state, then alright, just make some devils and use those to finish your opponent off. So having both options makes this card incredibly powerful, and we're going to scoop that right up and see if we can't be in red here to go with our Burn Down the House. That being said, the red cards in this pack are not pick 2 worthy. We have Harvesttide Infiltrator and Stolen Vitality, both very filler cards, a filler creature and a filler combat trick, so we're going to look towards the other colors here. We have Olivia's Midnight Ambush in black, a great cheap removal spell. That's pretty good. A ton of blue cards here, 3 of which seem pretty good to me. Doublegast Intruder is often a combat trick that can win a fight. It can kill a 2/2 or something quite often and then just stay on the board. So Doublegast Intruder, often a removal spell that just comes with a flyer. Any position where that happens, you're super happy. And otherwise, a 3 mana 2/1 flyer, not a bad deal. Phantom Carriage is a big finisher for a deck with a lot of flashback or disturb cards. And Flip the Switch, a decent counter spell there. I think these two uncommons definitely much above the Flip the Switch. I think I'm going to go with Doublegast Intruder here. We could also go with like Kessig Naturalist if we really want to play red-green werewolves, but that has been probably the weakest archetype in the format, so I would not advise just hopping onto that train pack 2 unless you have a big reason to do so. So pick 3 now. What do we have? Old Stick Fingers is the rare. It's okay. It is going to be pretty big later in the game when a bunch of creatures have died, plus you can mill some creatures with it. However, it is completely off color for us. Green and black there, so not the strongest rare ever, definitely not worth just ditching our first 2 picks to go for it. I think some of the best cards in this pack are honestly just like Defenestrate for the cheap removal in black. That might be my favorite card out of this whole pack. Not a lot going on here. Silverbolt is fine because it's a mediocre removal spell that goes into any deck, a nice filler removal spell. Birdmire's like okay in green. Outlaw's an okay filler creature. Not a lot going on in this pack. Fading Hope and Startle, both okay blue combat tricks, but we're like 1 pick in. We're not married to blue here, so I'm just going to take Defenestrate. See what happens here. Pack 4. Pick 4, I should say. Alright. I think Falcon Abomination is probably one of the best cards in this pack. 3 mana for a 2/2 flyer, and you get a 2/2 Decayed Zombie token. Pretty happy to go with that, and we have kind of a blue flying theme, both our blue cards being 2 power flyers on turn 3. Pretty good start to a deck. Loyal Gryph is solid. We already have 1 good blue flyer, so taking another one seems good to me. Yeah, not much else going on here. I'm not a massive fan of Hungry for More, but it can be okay in Vampire strategies. Yeah, I'm going to roll with Falcon Abomination out of this pack. Pick 5 now, and not much going on. Clarion Cathar is one of my favorite commons in this pack. Morning Patrol is also pretty solid. Maybe we move into like Blue-White Disturb here and take Morning Patrol or something. Amalgam's like okay in the blue decks, a big old 3/6 blocker on turn 5 that can really clutter up the board state and potentially finish the game off by getting unblockable. I don't love any of these black cards. Reunion, okay in the right deck. Heirloom Mirror, real slow. And Bladebrand, not as good in this format as in the previous core set formats that it was printed in, or the Ravnica formats it was printed in. And Brimstone Vandal's like very filler, so really not in love with this pack. I'm just going to go with the Amalgam actually here. Sort of commit to blue and then try to choose between black and red here potentially, but I'm not seeing a lot of great red stuff. Like Immolation is just fine. I think Hobbling Zombies in general better than Immolation. Death Toucher, so it can kill bigger creatures later, and it replaces itself when it does so with a Decayed Zombie token. There's a lot of good uses for having those kinds of creatures out cluttering the board. So I think I like Hobbling Zombie here. We might be moving into just like blue-black here. Not a ton going on in this pack. Gale Drifter is fine, but quite expensive. 4 mana for the 3/2 flyer, and then 5 mana for the 2/2 flyer. So it's a good deal that you get both on one card, but again, quite an expensive card. Cover-up's fine if you enjoy counterspells, and Larder Zombie is fine as a little bit of a scry engine early game if you have a lot of creatures to do so. We could just slam down a rare Shipwreck Marsh. We can rare draft and get some mana fixing here. And, you know, Larder Zombie and Gale Drifter are solid, but I'm pretty fine with just rare drafting a Shipwreck Marsh here. I still do not have my complete collection of all of the Innistrad dual lands yet, I believe, so getting another seems pretty good to me. Alright, Purifying Dragon is sweet in red, and that's going around pick 8, so it's possible that these packs just didn't have a lot of good red cards, so red could still be widely open. I'm not missing a lot missing out on these black cards. I think I like an Novice Occultist the best here, but it's just fine. Blood Pact isn't usually necessary in blue-black because you have plenty of other good card draws, so not super in love with these black cards, whereas Purifying Dragon has always been just a sweet 5 mana flyer for the red decks. And not in love with any of these cards, really. Like, Outlaw's good for vampires, I guess, if we end up in, like, black-red. Take that possibility. Definitely like Evolving Wilds here because I'm still very much not sure what I'm doing between these 3 colors. So getting the guaranteed good mana fixing is nice. And then we'll have 2 mana fixing cards. We'll have Evolving Wilds and a blue-black dual, so makes it even more likely we could potentially even splash a color here. Maybe splash in blue in a black-red deck, or splash in black in a red-blue deck. One of those kind of things. And we're just taking some filler stuff in our colors at the end, as you tend to do. And we'll see what we get in Pack 2. Pack 2, our rare is Sun Gold Sentinel in white. I'm not really going to hop onto the white train here, although it's a pretty good card. 2 mana for a 3/2. Exiles a card when it comes into play. Exiles a card from a grave when it attacks. So it really chips away at graveyard strategies like flashback stuff, so really good at that. But in black, we just have another Defenestrate, which is super solid. In blue, we have Revenge of the Drowned, kind of the blue Defenestrate. Throw something back on top or bottom of your opponent's library. They either skip their next draw step to recast the card, or just get rid of it forever, throwing it on the bottom. So Defenestrate and Revenge of the Drowned, both great instant speed removal here. Ghoulish Procession's good if a lot of creatures are going to be dying a lot, if you have a lot of uses for Decayed Zombies. But it can be a bit of a commitment just tapping out to do something that doesn't immediately affect the board. So I'm not super in love with it. You know, I kind of like Revenge of the Drowned here, to be honest. Could be Defenestrate too. I'm going to take Revenge out of that pack. So now we have... Ooh, how are we looking on instants and sorceries? 2 instants and 1 sorcery. So we're going to need to put a lot of work to get a Delver of Secrets to flip consistently. But if you have a deck where this can flip consistently, this is a very aggressive card. 1 mana for a card that eventually turns into a 3/2 flyer. That being said, it's going to be pretty difficult to do that. We're going to have to put a lot of work in from this point on, because we're going to need probably like 7 more instants and sorceries, ideally. And Eaten Alive is just going to be incredible in any deck we put it in, period. Just a great removal spell. Even just 5 mana, exile a creature, Planeswalker is great. And if you have the Decayed Zombie from something like Falcon Abomination or Hobbling Zombie, then you're super happy to just sacrifice that and cast this for 1. So I think Eaten Alive it'll be. Pick 3 out of pack 2 here. How many zombies do we have in this deck? We have 3 straight up zombies, not counting decayed tokens, so Crawl from the Cellar can actually get a bit of value with the +1/+1 counters, and of course it is just a good Good little draw spell, good piece of recursion in general, because it does draw you 2 creatures back from your grave eventually. So Crawl from the Cellar is an option. Vengeful Strangler is an option. We do have 1 card to sacrifice things we haven't eaten alive in here. Plus, it does just get in there as a 2/1 for a while. So 2/1 that can't block. When it dies, it comes back as sort of a removal spell, forcing your opponent to sacrifice a card every turn, but they can just sacrifice the Strangler itself. I guess I'll go with the Strangler. I'm not super in love with it. It's weaker than it looks, in my opinion, but it is fine. So we'll play around with that potentially here. So now we have Larder Zombie. We're starting to get more Decayed Zombies where I'm a little more interested in this. Plus, if we get some Crawl from the Cellars, we can throw some +1/+1 counters on zombies, and we care about that kind of tribal. That being said, Moonrager Slash is a really easily splashable, efficient removal spell, which is good. But I am thinking we're going to end up in just like blue-black here, most likely. Consider is also a consideration here. Definitely an option. That's fine. I'm going to go with... no. Moonrager Slash I think is the best card out of those 3 by a decent amount. We're seeing copies of those other 2 cards go pretty late, so we can pick them up later if we end up needing them. Man, I don't really like anything here. Ominous Roost, you need a lot of flashback stuff to do anything here, and we have pretty much none. Mysterious Tome is really slow, but it can be fun to play around with, and everything else in this pack is pretty much filler for us. The best cards here just being like Harvesttide Sentry, Clarion Cathars, Timberland Guide, just green-white stuff. I guess I'll play around with the Mysterious Tome. A slow card, but a really fun one to play around with. It just like bounces back and forth. Impacting the game in a couple different ways. Yeah, white is pretty open. Search Party Captain here, pick 6. Best card here. Vampire Interloper, great in aggressive strategies, but I don't think we'll make great use of it. That being said, these red cards are all pretty specific too. For vampire strategies, which we are not. We have 2 vampires. So it's the Brigands or the Interloper. I think I'm more likely to pay black than red, so I'm just going to go with the Interloper here. Even though it doesn't make the most sense ever. Although now a Storm Skrillex for blue-red, we can splash that in. If nothing else, we've got the 2 splash lands to do so. I guess Shipwreck Marsh doesn't help us splash red, but... yeah, it's that, a Sifters, or an Occultist. We are going to need some more filler 2-drops, so maybe we're supposed to take Occultist here, but I don't think Sifters is great in this deck because we don't have any Disturb or Spirits. But I am really just leaving my options open. Probably later than I should here with the amount of red cards I'm still taking at this point. These next few picks are going to be nice and easy. Some more filler stuff for the deck, and just start rare drafting a couple things. Highly doubt we splash in a Graphkeeper, but that is a late Graphkeeper. I'll just take Brimstone Vandal on the off chance that we main blue-red or red-black and then splash in a non-red color. Last pick, Voldaren Ambusher. This has been a strange draft. Some various archetypes open that we're not really in. Last pick Ambusher. How many vampires do we have now? We have 4 vampires and there was a last pick Ambusher. We could just slam the vampire trade hard here, pack 3. Or the vampire train. Seeing that, just take like Famished Foragers, pick one here and really go for it. Because Corpse Cobble's pretty solid. I think it would be the best card for if we're just going straight blue-black. Maybe Occultist. But neither of those are huge here. I kind of like just rolling with Foragers, and this is going to be a weird one because now we're sort of pivoting because we saw last pick Ambusher there, but the fact that we kept taking so many red cards and staying so open here means that we have enough red stuff to pivot into like red-black pretty easily. We just have to see more vampires to do it, and they just haven't been showing up in these packs. I don't think it's because people are taking them. I think it's just they just random distribution aren't in the packs here. As you can see, none in the uncommons and rares here. Whoever took a card here just took a common, and there's not a single vampire in the pack. So I guess we're just taking another Strangler here, although Crawl from the Cellar would be fine. We don't have a lot going on at 2 mana, so getting some more there would be good. Organ Hoarder for blue is phenomenal. 4 mana for a 3/2, dig for the best card of the top 3, throw it into our hand. Yeah, not much you can really justify taking over an Organ Hoarder. The closest would be like Defenestrate, but Organ Hoarder is just an excellent card. And yeah, we're just seeing the mediocre vampire here, Falconwrath Purpurator. If there was like a great uncommon vampire, I'd keep going for that vampire plan, but yeah, maybe there just aren't as many good vampires in these packs as average, because now like Stinger, fine, but just a filler 1 mana vampire there. So another Organ Hoarder, very easy pick there. So, alright, we definitely made some picks throughout this draft that did not pan out, especially with how many red cards that we took, but we still might go for a little bit of a red splash for like Moonrager / Storm Skrillex, that kind of stuff, as a couple finishers. We'll have a fine blue-black deck at the core here. Still have an okay time. Pretty fine to take a Gale Drifter here, I think. Maybe consider. We have 20 creatures, a lot of red though, so we actually don't. I'll take Gale Drifter there. Let's cut the red stuff so we can check our creature count more easily. If we stick to just blue-black here, 15 creatures, so I could use a couple more. Another Evolving Wilds though, that is definitely helpful for splashing in that red. Yeah, over another Gale Drifter, we have 3 4-mana creatures already. That's kind of plenty. Let's just grab another Evolving Wilds. And almost definitely splash in some amount of red to this deck. Well, hungry for more for the vampire deck. That was not to be. Burn the Accursed seems like a fine splash, but Bait Hook Angler is just great in our main colors. Great 2-drop, and we're still looking for a few more of those. We've got 4 right now. One of them pretty mediocre, the Unblinking Observer here. Bait Hook Angler, much better 2-drop in my opinion than that, so I like that here. I don't like any of this. I do love Search Party Captain. White, definitely, I think, the most open color this draft. Take an Observer or a Spirit. Not super into either. Yeah, we've got plenty 2-drops. We'll grab a Spirit for some more late game options if we want it. And kind of the same reason for Devious Cover up here. Well, now we have multiple Storm Rider Spirits. Still not interested in Blood Pact, I think, with double Organ Hoarder. Guess we don't have a lot of card draw. We do have a lot at 3 mana. Alright, well, I guess we'll take a look at this deck as just blue-black and then throw a bunch of red in here and take a look that way too and see what looks better to us. With double Evolving Wilds here, I don't know if we can justify splashing a double red card, but we can definitely splash some single red cards if we want. I do need to put 1 more card in this deck, so throw in a Storm Rider Spirit as well. Yep, that's pretty much the deck. The only thing else we could throw in is an Ominous Roost Component Collector, both very... Well, Ominous Roost just does not work in this deck, and Component Collector would be super filler. Sure, so I'm going to go ahead and just make the generic blue-black version of this deck, see how that looks to me, and then we'll go ahead and do the red version and see how that is. So this would be the generic blue-black version, and we'll just call the deck generic, go ahead and save it, and then go back to deck editing to take a look at what we could do with our red cards here. Because I think some of our strongest cards are definitely red. The Skrillex, the Skrillex, the Burn Down the House, the Purifying Dragon. So what could we do to make a red deck here? Is there any way red ends up being a core color? We'd need 14 more cards, so it's not impossible. So we just threw like red-blue as the core most likely, although with Ambusher we'd really want a lot of vampires and foragers. It's like black-red, lean into the vampires here, and then we need to put... How many lands is this now? 18? 17 lands. We need to put 5 blue cards in still. And this would kind of just be Grixis if we try to put every red card in here. Because then we're just playing all 3 colors pretty equally if I'm putting every single red card in this deck. Yeah, our blue has some great stuff. Double Hoarder, Abomination, Revenge of the Drowned. Yeah, we can take a look at blue-red, but I think that, again, is not going to have enough cards. It's more cards than black-red for sure. What do we have in black that we're missing out on? Eaten Alive is great. Defenestrate's pretty good. Those are kind of our best stuff. Zombies good, Stranglers are fine, Interloper's fine, Behemoth's fine. I guess I didn't throw Hungry for More in the black-red version, so we'd only need 4, 5 blue cards instead of whatever I said. So blue-red, we get to cut 2 cards here and call it a deck. I don't think we have enough Flashback or Disturb yet again for the Ominous Roost, so that is a definite cut, I'm thinking. We have 3 Disturb cards and no Flashback. Ominous Roost is not a thing here. I guess we have 1 Flashback card, the Electric Revelation. Okay, so 1 more card to cut. We have 18 creatures, so just cut a creature. Seems pretty simple to me. We've got a lot going on at 5 mana, so just cut a Stormrider Spirit, I suppose. Although instant speed, instant. We have a lot of instants, so having flash cards as well is nice. Because then if we don't end up having to cast Revenge of the Drowned or Devious Cover-Up, we can choose to cast Stormrider Spirit instead. That's where the Stormrider Spirit really shines. So maybe we could cut the Drownyard Amalgam instead. Or one of our random 3-drops like Component Collector also. Go for a slower build here with a bunch at the top end. Yeah, burn down the house kind of... If we're focusing on burning down the house to board wipe, then that would lend itself well to a slower deck. You know what we could do here, which would be pretty fun, because these are going to be best of 3, and I don't get to do this in Premier Draft. We could just start with this blue-red version, and then just constantly swap into blue-black and just confuse people. Have them sideboard against this deck, and then come back at them with a different one. Not that there's a lot that they can specifically sideboard in a limited format, but it would still be kind of fun. So, I guess potentially there's an argument for cutting Voldaren Ambusher instead of the Component Collector, but I really am not a fan of Component Collector, and the Ambusher still does 1 damage by itself. If you hit your opponent at all, this comes into play, does 1 damage to something, so it can kill some creatures in this format. It can kill Bait Hook Angler type cards, of course, Vampire Interlopers, stuff like that. There are some things that the Ambusher can do, even if it is the only vampire in your deck. Iteration seems probably unplayable and limited. Sure, theoretically it like doubles up a removal spell, but you have to draw that 2-card combo. A lot of hands this will do nothing, like it's a dead draw late game. Because you're never going to be in a situation... You're very irregularly going to be in a situation where you can hold your removal just waiting for Galvanic Iteration. Almost all games of Limited, you're just going to be like, I just got to use this removal spell, get this thing out of the way, either to keep the aggression on or to keep yourself alive. So I just think Iterations are really bad. Top deck, late game, stuff like that. So I think the blue-black version is better, but this one has more individually powerful cards like Burn Down the House. Of course, the Skrillex is fun. The Purifying Dragon is fun. So some decent stuff here. But definitely less cohesive. Probably the worst deck overall. And I really think, even with double Evolving Wilds, your mana base gets so much worse trying to splash in. So let's go ahead and discard changes, hop back into the event, take one more look at the blue-black version, and then take a quick peek on what it looks like splashing in just the tiniest bit of red. So if we go Moonrager Splash and Skrillex, maybe even Ambusher because we have all the black vampires still in. We have 3 vampires. Maybe not. Yeah, just splash in Skrillex, Moonrager Slash, throw in 2 mountains, I would guess. Get rid of like the Storm Rider spirits for this version. You can get rid of Cover Up and play the less control-y, just the quicker version here. Could even just play 18 lands. Or I could play the Burn Down the House. Even though we won't cast it until like halfway through the game. But that seems wrong. Because we'd have 4 red sources if we put 2 mountains in, which means on average, 4 lands, you're going to draw 2 of them by turn 20, so like halfway through the game. Or not turn 20, but by the time you're 20 cards deep, so I guess turn 13, because you draw 7 in your opener. It still seems too slow for casting a double red card. We definitely don't have any treasure production or any other non-land mana fixing, so I just don't think I can justify splashing in double reds. Could try to go the full 3 color, but I really don't like having a mana base like that in draft. In sealed, that's an easier sell because stumbling on mana in the early turns doesn't cost you as much, but in draft it really can. Yeah, I think I'm fine to throw that Cover Up back in and roll with this. I think I will do the little bit of a red splash, because it costs us not a lot on our mana base. Because we have Shipwreck Marsh and Double Evolving Wilds, our blue and black mana should pretty frequently be solid. You know, I can't see much going wrong there. Even cutting a couple blue-black sources for a couple mountains, our mana base will still be good. Like, our mana base would be excellent if we stay in just blue-black, but our mana base is still, like, average here, throwing in a red splash, and now our general card quality is a lot better, having a Skrillex and a Moonrager Slash in here, instead of a couple Storm Rider spirits, kind of just filling out the late game. So I think I like this version better. And now we've got the Moonrager Splash, the much less generic deck name here. Moonrager Splash going to be the first Innistrad Midnight Hunt Draft Challenge deck. Let's see how it does here, heading into round 1. And again, these are going to be best 2 out of 3 matches, so we will be able to sideboard and play around with the deck here. Go ahead and go on the play. Most modern limited formats, it's pretty much always better to go on the play, so just keep it simple and basically always go on the play. Going to keep this hand. It is a bit risky, because I am going to need to draw some lands at some point, but I do have that Vengeful Strangler turn 2 to get in there, start attacking, and if I curve into Outlaw after that, it's quite a good aggressive start. So we don't curve into Outlaw, but we did draw into Vampire Interloper, so we definitely get to get some chip damage in here against green-red. They could have the 1/4 with Reach. That would be a very bad time for our Interloper. It is not really gonna interlope past that. Some might even say it can't elope. So Brimstone Vandal, a 2/3 Menace. No third land for us. Still, we'll just have to deal with it. Send the squad in. If they block the Vengeful Strangler, it just slaps onto the Vandal and kills it in our next turn, which is fine by me, because our Vengeful Strangler isn't going to accomplish anything else. And now we can slash the Wolf too if we want to, because it is nighttime since we didn't cast anything. I completely didn't even notice the Brimstone Vandal starts the day-night cycle, so thanks to them playing that card, us casting nothing on our turn did flip it to night, so we actually can cast Moonrager Slash. in the interest of surviving, we could absolutely kill that wolf, but it's hitting us for 1 a turn unless they commit mana into it. And if they commit mana into it, that means they only have 2 mana here on turn 4, so I'm not actually that worried about the wolf. Just gotta let it do its thing. Now we get a nice 2-for-1 for it. Sure, we kill the wolf and the Howl of the Hunt. Now I'm cool just slashing that. They have 1 red mana up here, but not going to be enough to buff the wolf, and even if it was, buffing the wolf gives +2/+2, still would have 3 toughness. And now the Strangling Grasp, of course, going to kill the Brimstone Vandal here. And the board is clear. We do not have the ability to cast anything in our hand still, but it's kind of okay. They've got their own Moonrager Slash, so it's just a clear board state here. We're okay until they put pressure on us, and then we're not okay. We are not okay. That is a 4/3 Purifying Dragon there. Does the damage to a creature every time it attacks. If it damages a zombie, it does 2 damage instead. So we are going to need to hit some lands very quickly here. Ardent Elementalist, a very bad sign for us too. That picks up Moonrager Slash, which they can cast for 1 mana. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have 1 more turn to survive, and we have nothing in our hand that will save us, even if we hit the land next turn. So this game is just over. Just kept the 2-lander, did not hit the 3rd land. Certainly happens. Alright, yeah, that is very much going to do it there for game 1. Alright, well. Not a great start from our deck, not a great showing, but the cards that we cast put in some work there. Even stuck on 2 lands, we were at parity until like turn 5. Our board states were pretty much the same. Got everything cleared out. So I like what our cards did, our individual card quality. It's mainly just the mana did not comfort us much there. So I don't really think I want to change anything here. Just might mulligan more aggressively game 2. We will be on the draw this time, so we are a little more free to mulligan aggressively as well. Oh wait, never mind, I get to choose, so I'll just be on the play if I choose, but... We definitely cast Strangler and Zombie. That's just as many cards as we were able to cast last game. We do need to hit a blue source, but we have like 8 of those because we have 2 Evolving Wilds, and actually I think we have like 9 blue sources because the Evolving Wilds, the Shipwreck Marsh, and all the islands count. Said I was going to mulligan more aggressively, but here we are, keeping a hand with only 2 castable cards again. But blue is one of our core colors. We have a lot more blue sources than red sources, so having every card in our hand be just black or blue makes it more likely we hit the correct color. We do hit the mountain, so I probably should just stop saying anything here. We could trade Strangler for Harrier, but then we don't get to do anything with Strangling Grasp. That's still probably fine, because I feel like otherwise they're not going to block with it until they have something big enough to block and not die anyway. So just take the 1-for-1 trade here and give us more time to hit our blue mana. Because otherwise our Strangler's accomplishing absolutely nothing. Because if we don't attack with it, it's not blocking, and if we're not going to attack with it until they play something big anyway, then it's just sitting on the board doing nothing. Alright, there we go. There is the blue source. It is going to be a bit slow coming to play tapped here, but luckily our opponent's start is a bit slow as well. Nothing to play on turn 3 there, so we'll kind of just chill with each other here. I do think Hobbling Zombie's going to be good in this matchup against red-green, because they do have the big werewolves that this can kill, such as the Tavern Ruffians. So let's go ahead and grab our blue source for our Organ Hoarders here, and we should be playing with some straight gasoline here, because these Organ Hoarders are just going to give us the fuel we need to keep casting stuff all game, hopefully. Each one of these puts a 3/2 on the board and draws us another card. A 1/3, not the most exciting, but it is still a non-land card. I will take it. I do have the mana to cast it immediately, which means we get to set up our next draw off of that. So our Hobbling Zombie is going to block the Tavern Ruffian if that attacks in, so we get to kill that potential 6/5. But they may have the removal spell to go ahead and kill the zombie here. We'll have to remember in each of our end steps to set up our card draws. Go ahead and tap our 3 creatures to make sure that we scry away any lands or mill the lands. Falcon Abomination is going to be nice against red-green. We didn't see any reach creatures from them in the first game, so we are going to keep that on top and draw into the flyer here. So we have 6 mana available now, so we do not have enough mana to cast 2 things. We can cast an Organ Hoarder, an Abomination, or a Devious Cover-Up. Our opponent has 5 mana up, so leaving up a Cover-Up is a little bit exciting to me. However, we're only 1 mana away from being able to cast Abomination and holding up Cover-Up. So maybe we play Organ Hoarder this turn. If we hit an island, we just draw that, unless we hit something good. Seems fine. Like, we have the board under control with just a Hobbling Zombie, and then even if the zombie dies, a couple of Organ Hoarders can trade into a Tavern Smasher if need be. It's not ideal, but it's an option. Let's get the Organ Hoarder out, see what we're playing with next turn. Alright, 3 lands. Well, I am excited about hitting another island. That means we get to cast Falcon Abomination and Devious Cover-Up next turn, so I'll take it. It is fine by me. Burn the Accursed on the Hobbling Zombie to exile it, so we don't get the Decayed Zombie out of it either. Alright, well, goodbye Hobbling Zombie, goodbye our best blocker for Tavern Smasher. Now, they could very easily have a combat trick to make blocking Tavern Smasher work really poorly for us. Because if we double block with 2 3/2s and they throw 3 damage from a Moonrager Slash at one of them and we just lose our whole board, that's going to be a very bad sign. And with 4 cards in our hand from our opponent and them still going for this attack, I think we have to just still take it and go down to 12 here. Like, we know they have Howl of the Hunt or whatever to give it +2/+2 at instant speed. That would also blow us out. So there's just too many variables that can go wrong on this block. When we're still at 18 life, we can afford a couple hits from the Smasher to play around stuff like that. Until we have Devious Cover-Up held up. Once we have a Cover-Up held up, we're just slamming off that block. Which will be next turn. Alright, so Famished Foragers is coming out, discarding a land to draw a card for our opponent, so they are a bit flooded out here. Gonna dig out of that with the Foragers, and a Pestilent Wolf. That is gonna be an annoying attacker, because that can get Death Touch, but I guess we can trade with our 2/2 flyer if need be. Hopefully we won't have to. Hopefully we'll draw something here. Some stuff for the future. Revenge of the Drowned, that is excellent. We're gonna keep that on top. Now we have the option of Revenge of the Drowned and Devious Cover-Up for next turn. Plus, our opponent did cast 2 spells there, so it's actually daytime, so Ruffian's just a 2/5. We're not actually that scared about our blocks here, so just slam down an Abomination, hold up our instants, and pass the turn. We have a 1/3 to block the 2/5, 3/2 to block the 4/3, and a 3/2 to block the 2/2, I think. We could start attacking in, though. Then we're just trading with the 2/2 still, either way. Yeah, I don't think I attack in here. We're down to 12. Let's leave a bunch of good blockers. Even with these good instants. I think I'm just going to start chipping away with the Falcon. Alright, well, here comes something. Let's see. The full squad coming in hot. Let's see what you've got. Block with the Ruffian, block with the Organ Hoarders, try to clear the board here. They get to keep the Ruffian, but everything else will die. This is all fine for us on board. Howl of the Hunt. They are going to go ahead and give that +2/+2 in Vigilance. We can counter that, or we can put that on top of their library and kill the Howl of the Hunt permanently. But I'd rather it died right now, or it got sent back to the library. I think I'd rather that the Foragers dies right now because its ability is good, where they can discard cards and draw cards. So I think I'm going to cover that up. I guess the problem is we're not shuffling anything good back with cover up because it's all land, so we're just not going to shuffle that back. Even Strangler doesn't seem that good to me right now. But yeah, I'm going to go with the cover up, but I am a little bummed about just shuffling a Strangler back in and that's it. They have a second Howl of the Hunt here, maybe. No, they're just going to go for the discard to draw a card, the last opportunity they have to do so. And there we go. We're going to clear everything out except for the Tavern Ruffian. We only have 5 creatures out before that combat, so we only get to mill 1 anyway, so no reason to tap during combat there. All right, what do we got? Bait Hook Angler? I'll take it. Just give me anything at this point to extend this game out. And we don't have a ton of ways to sacrifice stuff, right? We have Eaten Alive, but we can already afford the full cost there. Kind of it, right? That and more Crit Behemoth, we can afford the full cost on that too. Cost 7 mana, we have 7. So yeah, we don't really need to keep our zombies around, so let's just get the 2 damage off of them when we can, when they don't have blockers up, because anytime they have blockers up, they're going to be big enough to block, seeing as they are a 2/5 here from the Werewolves deck. All right, land for turn. All right, they're going to the end step. Let's just bounce this Ruffian, get a Decayed Zombie, use that zombie to check the top of our library with Larder Zombie again. This either kills the Ruffian or slows our opponent down a lot, where they'll just redraw Ruffian and cast it next turn. All right, they're going to keep it on top, so that'll be their play next turn. Nice stuff from Revenge of the Drowned. And Drownyard Amalgam is the draw. 3/6, and we can start making it unblockable every turn. We could mill our opponent so they don't redraw Ruffian, but I'm not that scared of the Ruffian. That being said, I don't know. I also don't really want to mill myself when we have like Larder Zombie here anyway. You know what? I mean, that's cute enough. That's cute enough of a play. I think I will do it. So let's send in these 2 now. We do have the Larder Zombie to use the Decayed Zombie. So at this point, let's leave the Decayed Zombie back so we can have 3 creatures up. But it's kind of cute to mill your opponent when you know they have a card that they want on top. I don't think it's that good. I don't think it's that important, but I do think it's kind of funny to mill them. Just see that go to the grave. Ooh, and we did hit a Moonrager Slash by doing that too, which is really nice. So some good RNG for us there, some good random number generation from the Magic Arena Shuffler. We're going to throw that land in the graveyard, Larder Zombie. We draw into that Vengeful Strangler we slapped on top. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Put them to 1 life. I'd have to hold 2 of these back to go for Larder Zombie again. I guess if I play Strangler, I only hold 1 back. Yeah. Just hold 1 back here because we can't do lethal this turn anyway. And then we'll cast Strangler and we get to tap all 3 and check the top card of our library again with Larder Zombie. Everything's coming up pretty well this game. Ooh, Bounding Wolf is going to come in, going to go ahead and kill our Falcon Abomination here, I would expect. They will trade with each other, so it's not the worst deal ever, but it means our opponent did still have some action in their hand. Removal spell as well. Cathartic Pyre going to go ahead and shoot down the Angler. We can recast that from our graveyard. But now we are only doing 3 damage this turn. They will be down to 7. However, we do immediately have the 7 damage back on board here. Actually, exact lethal. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, we have 8 damage. A little bit more than lethal. And their final draw step is not going to get them out of that one, so that is 1-1 in round 1. So we're heading into a game 3 here, and this game 3 is going to decide it all. Again, against the Werewolves deck, I think this is pretty much the best iteration of our deck that we have possible. Just all of our best cards. Sans Burn Down the House and Purifying Dragon, but those are really hard to cast off of a red splash. Yeah, I don't expect to do a ton of sideboarding with this deck, if I'm being completely honest. Okay, so game 3 of match 1, the deciding game. Will we win it or lose it? Losses are super brutal in this event. 2 losses and you're out. And if you get knocked out of the tournament before you get a win, you get nothing. You just get to keep your deck and that is it. So, first loss is essential at not feeling terrible when you finish your run. Or the first win is essential. So this was an excellent hand mana-wise. We have all 3 colors. We have the 4 mana we need to get to our 4 mana stuff. Let's just get going this game. Hopefully our opponent doesn't have too aggressive of a start. They're going to have their +2/+2 thing here. Can't really do anything about that. I think we go for the block, because if we don't go for the block and they just hit us for 4 anyway, we're still in a pretty bad spot. So just go for the block. And they didn't have the +2/+2 spell there, so that actually worked out pretty well for us. So turn 3, we don't have a 3 mana card in hand. We could cast our Vengeful Strangler or just get a 1/2 flyer out. I'll just get a 1/2 flyer out to block their 1/4. Play it more defensively that way. Alright, sure, if they want to give this one +2/+2, they can go ahead. Nope, just trying to get that 1 damage in, see if we let the shields down there. Alright, so it is going to be nighttime now, so I actually, rather than casting Organ Hoarder, prefer just making it daytime, and just now casting Strangler and Interloper, just so 2 spells are cast, and the Wing Shredder turns back into a 1/4, and now we have these creatures that can't block that are just going to keep attacking in, and because of that, I am actually just going to trade in 1 damage for 1 damage here. We attack them for 1 damage with the Hook Hunt Drifter, they attack us for 1 back with the Wing Shredder. Oh, well that could have went disastrously for me if they blocked with the Bounding Wolf. So that was a card that I totally was not considering playing around there, but actually was a big thing to potentially play around, because they could have blocked the Hook Hunt Drifter and just ate it up for no value for me. That would have been a bad time. Luckily they did not choose to do that though. So not an ideal play. I should have just kept holding the Hook Hunt Drifter back, specifically because they've cast Bounding Wolf in every other game this match, I think. So I should have kept that in the back of my mind. All of the Premier drafts that I've been playing has made me a lot worse at best of 3 gameplay. I'm so used to just wiping my mind of whatever my opponent was playing each round. Anyways, 4 mana now, we can play out this Organ Hoarder, and that is probably going to be the play. Since the Interloper can't block, we might as well send it in anyway. Our opponent could absolutely have the +2/+2 on tap a werewolf thing, but we don't have a way to play around that until we hit another island, and we don't know when we're going to do that. And the Interloper's doing absolutely nothing for us, holding it back, so we might as well get that damage in. Even if they get to buff that, that's just like an off chance, and if they don't get to buff it, attacking is way better than not attacking. So here's Organ Hoarder. Another Organ Hoarder seems pretty sweet to me, because while I do want the 5th mana like the Swamp here, I would prefer it to specifically be an island so we can cast Cover Up and everything else. So I kind of prefer just grabbing another Organ Hoarder to grabbing the Swamp there and just playing around with the Hoarders another turn. Alright, play with fire. Gonna go ahead and kill the Organ Hoarder there. They're doing 6 to us a turn. We're only doing 4 to them a turn, so... a lot of damage here, and a Purifying Dragon from our opponent. We do hit the 5th mana if we want to play the Skrillex or the Behemoth. Behemoth is pretty great, because we can sacrifice the Strangler. Unfortunately, the Purifying Dragon gets to do 1 damage to one of our cards whenever it attacks, so I can just kill the Interloper. So as soon as Purifying Dragon attacks, Interloper dies, period, no matter what. So I feel like we might as well get our attack in with these 2 since they can't block anyway and they're going to die as soon as the dragon does anything. So maybe they'll play around a Blade Brand or something and not block, and we'll get an extra couple damage here. If they don't, it's really the same thing that would have happened regardless. So yeah, I think I am casting the Behemoth as a big old blocker. They can shoot it for 2 damage with the dragon because it is a zombie, but that's not enough damage to get their ground creatures through. It's still going to be a 7/4 essentially, which can block either of these and kill it. So just get a good blocker on the ground to help survive and sacrifice the Strangler to try to shut off that Purifying Dragon, get that killed. In our next upkeep, they'll have to sacrifice something. If they sacrifice the dragon, they won't have to sacrifice anything else. If they sacrifice something else, they get to keep the dragon around, but they'll have to sacrifice more cards over time. All right, let's see what happens here. Hoping for the best here. We're at 10, so we're actually at kind of a scary life total here if our opponent has the removal to clear out the Behemoth as a blocker. And we might even chump block with our Hook Haunt Drifter now. Pretty sure I'm just going to slam down Skrillex next turn to have a good flying blocker. Alright, so what could this be that would convince them to attack with these 2 werewolves? They are going to shoot the Interloper. Makes sense. This could be the +2+... They could be trying to get lethal here. Do 7 damage and then +3 more damage with Moonrager Slash. If they have Moonrager Slash, they're so happy whatever happens here. Because if I don't block... If I block one creature, I die. And if I block both, then they can just Moonrager Slash Behemoth anyway and clear my whole board regardless. So... If this is Moonrager Slash, I'm super screwed. If this is the +2/+2 trick to any creature, then that still works fine. Because this ends up with 7 toughness, I still kill that. These still trade. So if it's the +2/+2 trick, they probably throw it on the wolf here and just deal 2 more damage. Put me to 5. Alright, it's going to be neither so far, which means it could be the slash and they're just holding it in hand. It is the slash, alright. To shoot the Behemoth, so we would have died had I not blocked Purifying Dragon, so glad I did that. But Elementalist to pick the Moonrager Slash right back up and give them a very easily sacrificable creature. Just a little 2/1 there. It's going to be a really bad time for me, because the problem is I can't tap out for Skrillex now or I die. If I tap out for Skrillex, they attack with a dragon, deal 1 damage there, and then they Moonrager Slash it for 3 more damage, and they hit for 7, because my board is gone. So the only way to survive here is nothing. I just can't survive here if they play it out correctly. I can play an Organ Hoarder and hope for the best. I could play an Arrogant Outlaw, but I'm not draining them for life off of it. Yeah, I would be playing an Arrogant Outlaw with 3 mana up afterwards, which isn't enough to cast anything, so I would just play it to trade with Wolf and die to 4 damage from Dragon plus 3 from Slash, so we're dead no matter what we play here. That's game. Go for the Skrillex. It's the play that makes it the most likely they don't find the line, but it's a pretty easy line, so I would assume they're killing Skrillex here. 1 damage from Dragon, 3 damage from Slash. Either way they do it, Slash first or Dragon first. We'll kill the Skrillex before it can block. And that'll be our first loss here. Oh my god! They didn't find the line. Which means we get 1 more turn, but we're still in a really bad spot, because if I block Wolf, they kill me with Slash. But we escaped lethal narrowly here, which means Strangling Grasp kills another one of their cards. So it's just vaguely possible we get out of this, because we're killing 1 more card here. If we draw a flyer... Revenge of the Drowned! We may be getting out of this one. They can do 3 damage to us with Moonrager Slash, but with Revenge of the Drowned to get rid of that Purifying Dragon, we'll take no damage next turn. I think we want it to take more draw steps for them to draw the dragon. If I just Revenge of the Drowned main phase here, they draw it and cast it. If I do it after they attack, then they'll have to wait to redraw it, and I could cover it up. So we are banking on a really off chance here. We are really trying to get them to hopefully draw into just a basic land here. If they draw just a basic land, then they just attack with dragon, we bounce the dragon, Dragon goes to the top, and then they try to recast it next turn. We cover it up, and there is where we try to stabilize. So let's see. The Grasp would have killed the dragon, but not fast enough. The dragon would kill us first if we just sit around and try to get that to save us. All right, and we draw an Eaten Alive, so we can save Devious Cover-Up for Moonrager Slash now. So we just let them cast the dragon, eat it alive, and hold 4 up for cover-up? Seems like a play to me. Which means we get to Organ Hoarder this turn? Because if they had something to kill us with Moonrager Slash, they would have done it immediately. We know they're just drawing Dragon, so we know they're not going to go slash slash. So we have the time now to cast Organ Hoarder because we're going to eat the dragon alive rather than cover it up. Yeah, let's get this Organ Hoarder down. Unless they played it really well and drew a Moonrager Slash and waited to do it till my end step. But I would have gotten too excited. I wouldn't have done that. Nebelgast Intruder is pretty good. Gale Drifter is pretty good. Honestly, I feel like the cheaper the cards are here, the better. So I can hold up counterspells and stuff. I like Intruder quite a bit. But Gale Drifter is like higher impact over time by a lot, being 1 more power and coming back from the grave. Not really feeling the Strangler. Pick up Gale Drifter. The biggest reason for the Nebelgast would be Gale Drifter would be in the grave, so we could cast like the 2/2 side, but 1 more power is pretty big, casting a 3/2. I could be wrong here, but I'm into it. I'm interested. So we're going to eat the Purifying Dragon alive. That is a certainty. I also like casting Outlaw, but we don't have enough mana to do that and hold up cover-up, so I think I'd rather cast... I'd rather hold the mana for cover-up than get an Outlaw on the board. Because then if they draw some kind of big bomb rare, I can counter that instead of just countering a Moonrager Slash here. The Moonrager Slash definitely going to matter less after I cast my Arrogant Outlaw for sure. Alright, so we'll get rid of Purifying Dragon. Hold up Devious Cover-Up, because then like they could draw a haste creature. There's a lot of things I would like to hold up cover-up for. Next turn I can afford to cast Outlaw and still hold up cover-up, which is awesome. And then the turn after that, if I hit a basic land next turn, or the turn after, I can play Gale Drifter and hold up cover-up, which is also awesome. I definitely want to play Outlaw first, because I want to gain some life here. Slash the 3/2. You know what? I'll accept that. I will accept that into my life. I've got multiple 3/2s to cast here, and I can still hold up cover up by casting this. And then I guess we're casting Outlaw next turn then instead. They're down to 6 life now. All right. 1 more turn after this. We're putting them to 1 life here with Arrogant Outlaw. Holding up a counterspell. Have we recovered from the jaws of defeat here? Yeah, that's just a big old burly breaker, not going to block the flyer, and our opponent scoops them up 2-1 in round 1, narrowly avoiding death in our first match. So there you go. That's really all it takes for me to be happy. We've won a game of Magic. We've won a match of Magic. We will get a player draft token out of this, which we can use in a premier draft or traditional draft event. So, not in these expensive events, but in the 1,500 gold or 1,500 gems or 10,000 gold events. All right, so here we are in round 2 now. See if this round goes as closely, as excitingly as the first one. Or maybe one player will just take it over this time. All right, well, we've got blue and black. We have at least 2 mana, but we do really need to hit a 3rd. Opponents on the play, we're on the draw here. I'm gonna mulligan this on the draw, and this is far worse. We are going to have to go to 5. And You know, one of the better 5-card hands I've kept. I think I'm going to play Evolving Wilds turn 1, turn 2. We're just going to go a slow hand here, getting rid of Unblinking Observer. Try to keep all of our high-impact cards. Moonrager Slash hopefully being enough for their cheapest cards, and Nebelgast Intruder being good for that as well. Just grab a blue and red source, and we're all set. Oh yeah, I have to get rid of another card. Well, then maybe we're doing this. Am I just going to have mulliganed into a 2-card hand anyway after mulliganing my first 7-card 2-card hand? That would be brutal. No, I think... I kind of like doing this, maybe? I'm sorry, getting this Observer back. Because then we go blue source, red source, we can slam down Observer, and we can at least Moonrager Slash. We only need to hit 1 land to Intruder. I don't know, that seems maybe better than the 3-land version without the 5-mana card, or the 2-land version with the 5-mana card. But this is not an ideal start, for sure. Opponent starts with turn 1, Chaplain of Alms. Definitely an ideal start, getting the 1-drop turn 1. 1 mana, 1/1 first strike, ward 1, and it comes back as a 2/1 flying first strike for 4 mana. Very good when it comes back from the grave, and we are playing against a white-green. No turn 2 play, though, luckily for us. So here comes Unblinking Observer turn 2. That blocks a 1/1 first striker very poorly, so we're not going to do anything there. Well, there is the turn 2 play. It is the Cathar Commando, the flash 3/1 that can destroy an artifact or enchantment. So they are attacking for 4 damage on turn 2 here. I'll just trade this Observer off for a 3/1 immediately, just try to survive here. We have the 3rd mana for the Intruder and Slash. We don't need the Observer to get us there on the Slash, so take that trade and try to keep their board as clear as possible. Now we grab our black source or our 2nd blue, but we have a lot of black cards here and only 1 double blue card. It is in hand, but we have 1 black card in hand too, so I think I grab a swamp here. So Dawnheart Wardens can really go off. If they play a creature with a different power or toughness here, and they certainly do, a 4/4 there means they're bashing in for a ton. 6 damage here on this turn. We do get to shoot the Wardens down so they don't buff their whole field again, but they are still hitting for 5. Hit us with the 1/1 and the 4/4 here. It is not going to be great for us, but I think that's our best option. I think it's best to just do it right now before they untap. So if they have anything that gives +1 toughness, they'll save that. And there's the big old 6/5 Burly Breaker, turn 5. So a 1/1, a 4/4, and a 6/5. This is just going to be too much beatdown for us to come back from after kind of a stunted start there. So the mulligans were not ideal. Maybe I should have stuck with the first hand, but the final hand we were still able to cast cards every turn. They were just of much lower card quality there on the back foot against our opponent, so terrified of this kind of Coven deck. These things can just go off super quickly with the good curves when you draw into them, as we saw from our opponent that game, just the super aggressive curve. Yeah, that is one of the things our deck is the weakest to. We have not a lot of cheap cards, and most of our cheap ones can't block, or a few of our cheap ones can't block anyway. Could pivot into the Burn Down the House deck, maybe? As our best bet here. Blue-red Burn Down the House. A lot of our black cards don't work too well against this deck. Defenestrate certainly does, but we can... like, Interlopers and Stranglers I don't think are awesome here. It's like Interloper... Zombie is good here, but Behemoth feels like not good here either. Just throw in Burn Down the House and just cross our fingers. Throw in some card draw too, like Electric Revelation to help get there. This is 19 lands. Go down to 17 lands by cutting 2 swamps. Apparently I had 19 lands this whole time and didn't realize it. So we are running a land-heavy deck here. But we do have a lot of 4 or 5 mana cards. Let's try like that. Get a burn down the house in here. We'll run a 41 card deck. It's whatever. I don't have as much time in sideboarding as I thought I would to play around with that kind of stuff. I do want to take another look at our deck between rounds after this round, though, because that would be an edit I'd want to make if I realized that I've had a 19 land deck this whole time. But I might have just edited my deck a little bit there and not realized it. So I'm going to play first here. And I'm going to mulligan this one. I think I probably should have cut the Outlaws. I was considering it there, but the life gain is pretty huge. But I can only trigger that if I'm hitting my opponent early game, and if I'm cutting like interlopers and stuff, it's going to be harder to do that. So that was definitely a consideration. I just did not go through all of the possible sideboard options in my head before moving into sideboarding there. So didn't have as much time as I would ideally. Ideally, try to think of those things before you get to the sideboarding, so you know when you hop in there, when you have that limited amount of time, just be thinking of your options there. So, alright, well, we're going to be attacking with a Vengeful Strangler every turn, that's for sure. We might get some value off of this Nebelgast Intruder, although our opponent could just attack in while holding 2 mana up if they play it smart. Probably just want to cast Nebelgast Intruder either way. But if they play another creature pre-combat, they might get flying, and they might be interested in doing that in case I, like, untap Strangler or something weird. I don't know. Maybe they'll cast something pre-combat. That is not the option, but I guess we still slow them down here. We're going to tie up their mana, so instead of playing their 3-drop this turn, they're going to tap down an Intruder. Just so that Witch doesn't die. They'll still deal... Now they deal 0 damage this turn and cast nothing this turn. And then we just attack back for 4. So this is actually a huge tempo swing, now that I think of it. Like, now we're just very much on the lead in tempo, because we're also on the play. We do have the red source for Slash, and we can bring Gale-Drifter back from the grave, so that's a little exciting to me. Slash is definitely a card I'm interested in against this deck with some quality, cheap creatures. Alright. I feel like we're in the hot seat this game. The aggro seat, but that does tend to happen when you are on the play. Four mana now from our opponent. Catilda, Dawnheart Prime. Now their humans can tap for a mana of any color, which means they get to just immediately slam down another 4 mana card after the Catilda there. So just stay aggressive with our flyers, I think. Definitely stay aggressive with the Vengeful Strangler as well, but maybe not the Organ Hoarder here. Just hold that back for a block. The only way we're going to kill the 4/4 is with a double spell there. Or not a double spell, but a 2-for-1, our Organ Hoarder and the Slash into the 4/4. So just send these 2 in, and we just get in for 4. Alright, seems cool to me. Do we want to Slash Catilda to prevent them from just like recasting the Shadow Beast Sighting from Grave? They have 4, 5, 6. They need 1 more mana to do it. Yeah, they could just flashback, get another 4/4 there. It seems okay to me, just get rid of Catilda. Not excellent. Like, playing Gale Drifter is pretty big here. Then we're attacking for 4 in the sky with a 3 damage spell in our hand. Put them to 6 with 3 damage in hand. Could be wrong here, but I'm just going to cast our Whale Drifter. Lunarch Veteran. Ooh, Lunarch Veteran is going to be very good for them. Gain them some life, get them out of range from the Moonrager Slash, and bam, the Dawnheart Wardens is back again. Huge card here. Buff the board, +1 power. Make them come back with a huge crackback here. Try to pivot this game right back around, put them in the driver's seat. Opponent's just like, scoot on over. This is my my car now. I am the captain now. They do have to make some big choices here on how they want to attack, though. Because they do have the mana up to potentially tap something down with Gavany Trapper if they don't attack with the humans here. And they know that the Whale Drifter can trade for the Candlegrove Witch and stuff like that. I think we're just going to be as aggressive as we can with this Moonrager Slash in hand and just let this in. Let in that 8 damage here down to 12. It is going to be a big back and forth here. And a Morning Patrol from our opponent as well, just really dumping the hand with that Catilda. That was definitely where we regret our decision not to shoot Catilda down. If Lunarch Veteran didn't come out, we'd still be okay here, but the fact that the Veteran came out as well, so they're gaining life as they're dumping onto this board, that is a big deal. Oh, Wilds for just like another blue source here within the deck. We hit for 4 in the sky, but we take a pretty big crack back and we're down at 12. Strangler obviously can't block, so send that in. Might just be game here. Right, well, we do get to slap the Strangler onto something. Oh my god, they have the mana to use Catilda to put a +1/+1 on everybody now as well. So it's actually probably more important to kill Catilda now than Dawn Heart Wardens with the slash. It's like, I think now we have to slash something that's going to be adding to their power. So I think we throw Strangler onto Wardens and then we slash Catilda before they untap, because if they untap, they put a +1/+1 counter on all their creatures. Just jamming with everybody else by tapping like Gavany Trapper for mana. They have no more cards in hand, so that's definitely what they're going to do here. But no, I think we should have killed Catilda earlier. That would have changed the outcome of this game a bit. We might have been able to get there. It would have been close. Would have been closer, but could definitely still lose having shot Catilda earlier, because we wouldn't have been attacking as aggressively. Whale Drifter wouldn't be on the board yet. So we'd just be hitting for 2 in the sky every turn and still be getting beaten down by a 4/4. But they would not have played as many creatures as quickly as they did there. And since we ended up having to shoot Catilda to stop the 6-mana ability anyway, probably would have been better to do it sooner. And unfortunately, the Vengeful Stranglers are actually not great once they get a bunch of disturbed creatures out. So this late in the game, Strangle and Grasp not super helping us here. Actually going to help our opponent, let them flip the Chaplain of Alms into a flyer. Alright, tap down a blocker here, and they may just have lethal immediately. I think they do. Quite sure they do. Well, that is going to be game there. Alright, and we will take a look at the deck between rounds and see if I am running a 19 land deck. I think 18 would be fine for this. We have a lot of high impact 4 and 5 mana cards, like the Organ Hoarders we want to hit consistently, and the Organ Hoarders let us dig out of lands if we have too many, but let's see. We do have a 19 land deck. Okay, so I would like to cut one of these lands, actually. Probably not 2. So we have 13 blue, 9 black, so just cut 1 black here. Oh, we have a 42 card deck. We had a 42 card special this whole time. See, this is what happens when the auto suggester doesn't do things. I've been spoiled. Just totally forgot. So we need to cut a non-land card too, or go down to 17 lands. Cut another land here. Both are fine. Oh yeah, we have the larger zombie late game as well, digging us out of Flood So I'm pretty fine with 18 lands here. I don't know what we want to cut here. We have definitely some mediocre filler stuff, like Observer's pretty filler, but it's one of our only 2-mana cards that can actually block. The Stranglers haven't been performing super well for us, although they did really well in our first match, actually. They helped us win against the Dragon deck, the Werewolf deck with the Dragon to finish us off. The Amalgam has been just too slow and hasn't done much, so that's an option for sure. And then the Outlaws also haven't been great because we can't trigger them that easily in this deck. And we do have a lot of 3-mana stuff, so maybe just like cut out an Outlaw seems fine. Sure. There we go. 18 lands now. 1 Outlaw less. We are 1-1 now, heading into round 3. Definitely just an excellent Coven deck from our opponent in round 2. Just shredded us there. Well, as we're waiting for round 3, I guess we could reconsider our splash for burn down the house. We'd have to think back on how all these games have been going. It does generally feel like most of the games have been going pretty long, but we've also been losing most of the games. So if we're like winning a lot of games where it goes long, like burn down the house helps a lot. Or if just a boatload of games are going long, period, burn down the house helps a lot. But we don't get to cast it until quite late in the game, unless we throw a lot of red mana into our deck, as I said before. So if the vast majority of our games are going to like turn 14 through 16 or something, then we could, probably hit double red in quite a lot of the games, and then burn down the house would be worth it. So I'm actually pretty heavily considering it here. We might sideboard it in again, but then if we win this round, we might keep it in for the next round. All right. Opponent on the play. 1 land hand, not keepable. We are going to mulligan this one. 4 land hand here. We've got Evolving Wilds to grab our red source, looking pretty good. Interloper turn 2 to start attacking in, and Mysterious Tome to draw some cards. Some fine stuff to me. And we can even just keep 3 lands and be pretty fine. So an easy choice on the mulligan there. Grab our red source here, just thin the deck out a little. Ooh, don't play a blue source here. We want to play Vampire Interloper. I guess we could play on Blinking Observer, but I'd rather just get chipping in there for 2 damage a turn with the Interloper. So a Consider from our opponent. We just see 2 islands and a Consider from them, so we're not sure what they're playing yet. They're definitely in blue. There's the 3rd island and a Scab Wrangler to potentially tap some stuff down. Got the slow land here, Shipwreck Marsh. Nice draw. Attack for 2 and get this Mysterious Tome out, I think. I guess we could wait till turn 5 to do this, because then we can play it and draw the card immediately. But we could also play this turn 3, then play Observer and draw a card turn 4. Revenge of the Drowned is probably going to be exciting on turn 4, so yeah, I'll actually just go with Observer here. Observer attacks and blocks well on the current board state, because it's a trade up for Wrangler. It's also a trade up for Organ Hoarder, because it's just bigger, a 3-2, so yeah, Observer's pretty fine here. Decent blocker, decent attacker. Alright, well, get out of here, Wrangler. Just slam that block off. I don't really want to Revenge the Drowned there, Organ Hoarder, especially now that I have Bait Hook Angler. So I will be going for the turn 5 Tome, but I'm still happy with the trade of Observer for Wrangler. So Revenge of the Drowned is going to be like a turn 6-7 play now. It's just going to be the last thing we do. They could just be... Oh no, they're blue-red. We see a Lamb Hull Terrier having been milled off of the Organ Hoarder. They did draw a mountain off of it. Second Organ Hoarder, all up in the building. Mills an island and a consider. And draws something to hand. Take this trade all day. And Hobbling Zombie, I'll take that trade all day too. Now I think I'm again just holding off on Mysterious Tome, because now we can cast Zombie and the Hook Hunt Drifter. Then we have 3 flying power on the board, and we have a good card to trade for the Organ Hoarder. It'll trade for it and leave a decayed zombie behind. Sure, we're getting rid of our Death Toucher for something that would have died anyway, but it's still our only creature that can block and kill the Organ Hoarder. We do get a decayed zombie out of it. Oh dear, a white source from our opponent, so they are doing 3 color as well, at least a splash here, so we'll see what they've got. We have Revenge of the Drowned in hand to kill something bigger than 2 toughness, so if we did need that Death Touch around, we have a backup plan, so we're all good. Such as a Fangblade Brigand, backup plan it is, and we draw Defenestrate, so we could do that instead and just permanently kill it. I think I like Revenge of the Drowned better here, because Brigand is a good enough card that it might convince them to just throw it back on top of their library. And if they do throw it back on top of their library, then they just skip their whole next turn, basically recasting Brigand, which I think is good for us. Alright, they sent it to the bottom, so it basically did the same as Defenestrate would have, and gave us a Decayed Zombie, so super fine by me. Still works out okay. I would have been very excited if they put it on top of their library, though, because then they would spend their whole turn casting it again, and then I just kill it again. We'll see what they do this turn instead, though. Just pass turn with 7 mana up. They definitely have the ability to cast some instants here. If they play like a Nebelgast thing or something, they could try to shred away our board. Nothing. Just go down to 4. Let's drop this Mysterious Tome and see what we can draw off of it. We don't have any 1 mana cards outside of Eaten Alive. Oh wait, we do have Larder Zombie. I should have drawn during our turn. The reason to draw during our opponent's turn is we can hold up Defenestrate. Ooh, Vanquish the Hordes. They were just trying to play into the Wrath. Well, it works out fine. We only lose 2 creatures. Not the worst I've been Wrathed. But yeah, if we hold Mysterious Tome, we get to hold up Defenestrate for something big. But if we just cast it immediately or use it immediately, we could have cast a 1 mana card. It actually turned out better that we didn't, because if we did immediately draw Larger Zombie and cast it, we would have lost 3 cards to their Vanquish the Horde instead of just 2. So, that's whatever, I'll take it. Ooh, Organ Hoarder is the draw, that is excellent. Well, Organ Hoarder, what do you have to show me? Falcon Abomination, Nebelgast Intruder, Island. When they're at 4 life, getting just a Decayed Zombie for 2 more damage is pretty huge. So I'm actually a little more interested in the Abomination than the flashy Intruder here. Which is kind of crazy, but that's how I feel here. And I'm just going to slam it down and hold up the Chilling Chronicle to tap one of their cards on my next attack. We get to tap down 1 blocker, kill another blocker next turn, so if they can't kill our creatures, we're definitely getting in for lethal. We have 7 damage on board. Even if they kill 1, they kill the Organ Hoarder, we still have 4 damage on board. So Defenestrate plus Chilling Chronicle, hopefully enough to clear the way here for a lethal attack next turn. So 3 cards in hand, but a lot of mana up. 2 plains, a mountain, and 5 islands from our opponent. They could cast a wide variety of cards. It looks like, I'm guessing they're like a blue, they're a blue-red, do they have the mana for Vanquish the Horde? Because it's cheaper for each creature on the board. They do, good lord, alright, well, we'll get Wrathed again. Luckily we have a card draw engine on board, the Chilling Chronicle, which can tap itself, so we can flip it to the Tome, which is definitely going to be our play here. Just so we can flip it. But yeah, that's crazy. So they're like blue-red splashing for the Vanquish the Horde. Like, we could have been blue-black splashing for the Burn Down the House. Very similar kind of thing going on. So there's a Jack-o'-lantern from our opponent. If nothing else, it draws them a card. So that is big here. Just draw whatever's next. Oh yeah, that is a card I should have been considering more highly during the drafting process since I was stuck between 3 colors. This card does just randomly give you a mana of any color, so it does help hit just like a random double red card splashed in like Burn Down the House. So Jack-o'-lantern would make the double red splash easier as well, so Vadric doesn't do much, right? Instant sorceries cost X less, where X is its power. Whenever day becomes night or night becomes day, it gets bigger. So it's a 1-2 that just keeps getting bigger and bigger. They already have enough mana to cast any instants or sorceries anyway. The big concern would be that it just keeps getting bigger. And it is going to flip to day here, so it is going to be at least a 2-3 guaranteed. So we could just kill it right now. It'll be at least a 2-3. Probably even better. If I kill it right now, I have enough mana to draw a card and still cast like a 6 mana card. It's very likely I have the mana to cast everything I want to next turn regardless. Yeah, I think I don't know. I'm going to leave it around for now. Very indecisive on that. Drowned Amalgam is a 5 mana card, which means we don't have the mana to cast this and Defenestrate and draw the card, so that would be the downside of doing this, but still not sure we want to Defenestrate that. So we'll just cast Amalgam and then pass the turn and see what happens. We've got the biggest creature on the board, and they are at 4 life. Could have milled ourselves there. We do still have 2 Disturb cards in our deck, but I think that's it. We actually only have 1 left. We only have the Gale Drifter in our deck. It's pretty unlikely we'd hit it. And our opponent is down to 12 cards now, and we're at 19, so there's a big differential in deck size here if it comes to milling. See what they've got here. This card's got a funky arm. I don't know if you've noticed that. Tentacle arm. I don't know what's going on there. Just when human corpses are in short supply, Stitchers get creative, says the flavor text. So I'm not sure I even want to know what they used for that arm. So they're about to kill the Drowned Amalgam? They certainly are, with Light Up the Night here. Going to do 6 damage to it. Nothing we can do to stop that. That resolves. We're at 20. I can take 2. I'll take the 2, draw the card, and still wait to kill Vadric, because it is going to be a 2-3 at the end of this turn as well. It's just sitting there as a 2-3 for a while. Gale Drifter's the draw, and we hit Eaten Alive, so now we actually have more removal, and we have the mana to cast Defenestrate and use Chilling Chronicles ability. So we actually do have the mana to kill Vadric and still hold up whatever we want to play around with. That being said, I'm probably just tapping Vadric and holding up Defenestrate, but the fact that we can do both is pretty nice. Moon Rager Slash. Alright, well, goodbye, Gale Drifter. Hello, Whale Drifter next turn. Covetous Castaway. When it dies, they mill 3 cards, and it disturbs for 5 to turn into a 3/4 flyer that shuffles 3 cards back from their grave to library. So they're going to be at the same amount of cards in library if it dies and they recast it. So I think I'd rather just exile it with Eaten Alive so we don't have to deal with a 3/4 flyer. Because it's not like we can try to benefit off of milling them with it, because they just negate all the mill that we did anyway. At 18 life, do I still not care about Vadric? You know what? At 18 life, I still don't care about Vadric. But I do care about Covetous Castaway. Although I don't have the mana to kill that and cast Gale Drifter. Whale Drifter, I should say. That's a bit of a bummer. Guess it doesn't really matter till it dies. Right now it's a 1/3 on board, so we can wait on the Eaten Alive. Let's just see what we draw. Another land. Sure, get that out here. Cast a Gale Drifter. We're not holding up Defenestrate, so the shields are down, but we're at 18, they're at 4. They'll feel fine. We take 3 damage here, they take 2. We deal half their life total to them. Anytime Whale Drifter gets in, definitely no blocks. Just so the Whale Drifter doesn't die to like a Neonate's Rush or something. Alright, Vadric is a 3-4 now. And we put our opponent down to 2 life. One more attack will be lethal. They have one final draw step to make it out of this one. We'll see what they've got. Geist Wave, throw the Castaway back to hand, draw a card. Just going to resolve that. We could Defenestrate that, so they just tap out to cast it as a 3/4 flyer, and then just tap that down with Chilling Chronicle and try to do that for lethal. They would have 2 mana up outside of that, so I don't know for sure how that would go wrong. So it might be more likely that the card draw of Geist Wave gets them out of it than that the still having a Castaway gets them out of it. Or that the being able to cast it as a 3/4 gets them out of it. Famished Foragers, okay, 4/3. They dealt damage to us, so they'll draw a card, discard a card. Alright, and then they'll have 3 mana up if they have another Geist Wave, I guess? Actually, they could have just Geist Waved Whale Drifter, but then we get to cast it as Gale Drifter, so I guess I understand why they didn't. Then we would just cast a permanent 3/2 flyer version of this. That comes back as a 2/2 flyer. They'd be way on the back foot there. Alright, discard a card, draw a card, 3 mana up. One of which is red. If they draw into Moonrager Slash. Four mana up now. Draw another card, hold 1 red up in case they draw into Moonrager Slash here. That's the play. And it looks like they did not. They're going to scoop them up there. So 1-0 to start off round 3. So what do we do here? I actually did edit the deck to the 18 land 40 card version instead of the 19 land 42. As cute as that was. So I don't need to play around with that. It's another matchup I don't know how good Strangler is here. We could like cut the Stranglers and the Outlaw to throw in burn down the house. Just burn down the house, double mountain, run 20 lands. Could just cut 1 Outlaw. 1 Outlaw, 1 Swamp. Throw in a burn down the house and a mountain. I mean, our opponent is already playing around Wraths because they're leaving their own Wraths in hand, so I don't know how good us having a Wrath is really going to be in this matchup. Plus, they have a lot of Disturb cards, cards that come back from the graveyard, so the fact that this doesn't exile stuff, not actually that sweet. Yeah, kind of chill running it back, I guess. We do want to keep in mind to play around a board wipe effect, though, because they did wipe the board twice. Okay, here we go. Great curve here. Good mana. Well, not a great curve. Good curve here, good mana. Turn 2 play, turn 4 play. But the plays on turn 2 and 4 are pretty great. Turn 2 Shipwreck Sifters from our opponent. Draw, discard. If they discard a Disturb card, they will get a +1/+1 counter, but they do not have one to discard. So Bait Hook Angler it is. And Vadric Astral Archmage. turn 3 here, so it could matter more this game. The cost reduction on instants or sorceries could actually come in pretty clutch, and it's going to be on the board early to flip more frequently. As much as I don't love not draining life off of them, I like it not flipping to nighttime so that Vadrik doesn't get a counter on it. So I think I just cast the Outlaw here. I guess I could attack with Angler, see if they make any trades, and then recast it from the grave if they do. That also involves me casting a spell. And they only have 1/2s to attack with if they don't block here, and they'll be attacking with 1/2s into a 3/2 if that's what happens. Alright, so yeah, that's cool. And now I might get the life drain out of the Outlaw in the future. And I have a creature big enough to block Vadrik still. So I definitely will every turn from now on, now that I have 4 mana to play Organ Hoarders and Gale Drifters and all that nonsense. Scab Wrangler. Come on out. And a Covetous Castaway. Milling them 3 when it dies. And shuffling them back when it comes back. So 4 mana, we can play Larder Zombie and Outlaw. It's kind of cool for getting a lot of blockers out and being able to start scrying through our library, but I think we'd rather just take the immediate card draw punch that is Organ Hoarder. Falcon Abomination it is. Some Flyers. Flyers definitely great against our opponent's deck. They have some Flyers of their own, but they're slow, like Covetous Castaway, where it has to die and then come back. So Scab Wrangler starting to go off. It taps down the Hunt Drifter, leaving just an Organ Hoarder to block with. And they're just going to pass the turn, put it to Nighttime for Vadrik. So I don't want to overcommit to the board here. So I don't know how much I want to play something great. I kind of like just playing Vengeful Strangler. I have enough mana to play Strangler and Abomination, and then start attacking with Strangler, getting damage in with that, or starting to chip away their board. That'll let them sacrifice the Castaway, and then recast it, which is not great. You know, I'm just gonna grab another Organ Hoarder here, I think. Set up some more cards. So there's a Consider from our opponent. Actually mill the Wrath effect, so they do have Ardent Elementalists in their deck to bring it back from their graveyard to the hand, so we still need to play around it, but not as heavily. Alright, Interloper's better than Observer in this matchup. Just chipping in for 2 flying damage every turn is pretty big. Yeah, and I'm just gonna slam down Zombie. Like, we have to think here, what happens if they play Ardent Elementalist and then vanquish the Horde? There's going to be an empty board state. They're going to have 1 card in hand and we're going to have 5. Like, we're going to win that game every time. So we need to just keep that count in mind, but we can still add more to this board state and still, like, guaranteed win. So we've still got some breathing room for committing more to the board state, even though they could get a Wrath effect. So I don't like attacking with Organ Hoarder there, even though I could trade with one of these, because I could also just kill Castaway and then they have a 3/4 flyer. That is what I don't want to happen. I just want Castaway to not die, so that I can just start killing them with one of these flyers. Alright, well, I missed out on 1 scry from Larder Zombie by not tapping my whole board there, but if I tapped my whole board, I take 6 damage. And if I don't, I block somewhat well. I block these 2. And just take 3 damage. Oh, they have a mysterious tome of their own. That is actually going to be great in this matchup. That was a very big card for me last game, and I expect it to do just as good things for my opponent this game. So they draw a card here, and then they tap something down next turn. We'll take 3 damage from Vadrik. Okay. Six mana here. I think we just play a bunch of flying stuff. Interloper, Gale Drifter. Seems clutch to me. There's the Jack-o'-lantern for the next white mana. If they do hit Ardent Elementalist, they will be able to wrath the board. They couldn't do it before, they only had the one white source. Alright, Jack-o'-lantern to draw a card here. So at this point I would expect they play it defensively, use Chilling Chronicle and Scab Wrangler to tap down 2 flyers. I guess they only have 3 creatures on board, so if they do that, Organ Hoarder hits them. So they probably just use Chilling Chronicle here. Alright, what do you have for us, Larder Zombie? Devious Cover-Up. Oh, I'll keep that. Then we can really just not be worried about Ardent Elementalist. Just keep playing 2 mana cards here till we hit our next land. Then we play a 3 mana card, hold up our 4 mana counter. Yeah, that's pretty great here. Alright, tap down the Gale Drifter, so we'll just be hitting for 3 in the sky. Cast our Vengeful Strangler and hold up a Devious Cover-Up. You know, we probably don't need to hold up Cover-Up this turn, because we've got 1 card in hand. They would need to just, like, immediately draw Elementals. I really don't think they have it. Even if they do, we have a Gale Drifter engraved to bring back. They just have a Castaway to bring back. And then we could just cover up their Castaway when they try to cast it the turn after. Yeah. I want to get more... I just want to speed this game up, speed up our clock here. But it is playing pretty aggressively. Putting the shields down, not holding up the cover-up. Yeah, if they draw Elementalist, they can cast it. They go 4 mana for Elementalist, and then, like, Vanquish costs, like, 2 mana now, because there's so many creatures on the board. So they draw off the Mysterious Tome. Again, the Jack-o'-lantern's what's giving them the potential second white. Alright, pass turn. We made it another turn with no... Vanquish the Horde. Well, there's our Mysterious Tome. I'll take that. Do want a 7th mana for the cover-up, though, but... God, that is a great card. Go to combat. Ooh, alright. No taps? Well, yeah, if they tap something, all the ground creatures get in. Just send that all in. Oh yeah, and the Strangler. If the Strangler dies, they do get to slap it onto the Castaway, but we can counter the Castaway when they try to recast it, because if they do that, they're using most of their mana on that. And then we keep the board clear by doing that. They're just going to take it all. It's quite a bit. They're down to 6. Outlaw is looking real appealing, but I'm just going to hold cover up here. They're definitely dead next turn. To Outlaw's ability, just casting it then after a big attack with the flyers. So we might as well hold off in the off chance of a Wrath. So Wrangler did stop us from using Larder Zombie here. Because if I wanted to use Larder Zombie, I'd be holding up 0 blockers, and holding up the 1/3 stops their 2/1 and 1/3 from attacking, so I'd rather hold that up. Plus, there are very few cards in my deck that I don't want to draw right now, because any lands I'm fine with, because then I could cast Mysterious Tome or Outlaw and still hold up cover up. I guess mainly islands, because I would need a 3rd island to cast Tome and cover up. But lands are fine, non-lands are obviously fine. Don't really need to set up the draws here. There's Ardent Elementalist. Just counter that. Just straight up. We could wait for the Vanquish the Horde, but I'm just going to put them out of their misery here. And they scoop them up. I don't want to give them the false hope there. That would have been really mean. Just let it resolve and then counter the Vanquish the Horde after that. I guess if I did that, then they couldn't draw any more Ardent Elementalists later, but we had lethal next turn if the Vanquish didn't go off this turn. So that will be our second win, which means some good rewards now. 1 player draft token and 3 packs. So the 3 packs we drafted, the 3 packs that we win here, plus the player draft token. Moderately close to breaking even, but 3 wins is really where it's at. So let's see if we can't get 1 more match win in here at least. That is where we start getting some real juicy rewards. If we can get a victory in round 4 here. And these events are going to be some long drafts. They are best 2 out of 3 in each match, and you're only out after 2 losses, and you go up to 6 wins. So there's going to be a lot of Innistrad Midnight Hunt limited content coming to you all in the next few days here. So do not be worried about that. There will be a ton. I do need double blue for like 1 card in my deck, so I'll just grab an island here. We already have double black. We've got a really weird start this game with the double Strangler. Uh-oh, another Coven deck. That is the deck that we have lost to so far, was just a good curve Coven deck. They can get out really aggressively and have some terrifying starts. So hopefully the Stranglers are enough to slow them down. Although that only works if they choose not to block. Ooh, Hound Tamer turn 3, really nice from our opponent. A 3/3 trample, and it throws +1/+1 counters onto their creatures. So let us see, does the Strangler get in? Or do we get to slap it onto a Hound Tamer? It gets in. We could cast an Eaten Alive here and just wipe their board if we want, but that is a 2 for 2. We trade a Strangler and an Eaten Alive for a Hound Tamer and an Unruly Mob. Honestly, just to survive for the long game, it might be worth it here, because we have an Organ Hoarder coming up, and then we have a big old 3/6, so just preserving our life total as much as possible and really slowing our opponent down seems kind of spicy. So let's exile Hound Tamer, sacrifice the Strangler, and then slap the ability onto the Unruly Mob. And now they just have a 1/1 that dies next turn. See where our Organ Hoarder can get us here. Loyal Griff. Ooh, Loyal Griff to counteract the Strangling Grasp, get that Unruly Mob back to their hand. Still slows them down, however, does not kill the Unruly Mob anymore. Take that Gale Drifter. I would rather cast it as a 3/2 flyer and 2/2 flyer than just getting it the one time. And I'll trade for Loyal Griff. Sure, now I don't get to slap it onto the Unruly Mob, but I get to guaranteed get that flyer off the board immediately, which I am excited about. Alright, they have a 1/1 to block with. Let's see the combat trick here to defeat the Organ Hoarder. +2/+0, get a 1/1 flyer here. No, +2/+2, give Indestructible, or +3/+3, so it didn't need the Indestructible. It was already going to win, but Indestructible is some icing on the cake there. Play a big old 3/6 or a flyer. I'm just going to play a big old 3/6. They can't block this well anyway, and if they play something that can block it well, then they can just, or I can just give it unblockable anyway with its 3-mana ability. Tovolar. Well, Tovolar's not actually that scary without a bunch of other werewolves and stuff, so not the scariest splash. Does still have the ability to give itself a bunch of power and trample during the night, but during daytime, not that bad, just a 3/3. So we just got to be scared about what happens if it flips to night here. So let's make sure it doesn't flip to night during our turn, shall we? That would be pretty okay trading Gale Drifter for Tovolar if they still want to go for the attack here, so let's get our extra damage in. I don't think they'll go for the attack here until it's nighttime. So I'm pretty sure Gale Drifter just holds off their attacks, and then we're just hitting for 3. Oh, good lord! Well, that is awful. Tovolar and Tovolar's Huntmaster here. Now they have a 6/6 with multiple 2/2s. When this flips, it gets to create 2 more 2/2s every time it attacks, and Tovolar makes sure it guaranteed flips next turn. When they have 3 or more wolves or werewolves, it'll flip tonight. So what I said before, where Tovolar isn't that scary on its lonesome, it needs 2 or 3 werewolves beside it to be scary. Our opponent had the 3 wolves in a can, and now we are super unlikely to win this game. Because next turn, they flip tonight. They have a 4/4, a 7/7, 4 2/2s. They give +X/+O and trample wherever they want it. I think we straight up just get dealt lethal next turn, pretty much. I guess we'll see. I definitely can't attack. It's pretty brutal. And I can't really block well. Like, I can triple block Huntmaster to kill it. It's going to have 7 toughness, so the only way to kill it is triple blocking. And then, yeah, they just dump all of the +X/+O power somewhere else. Tovolar into Tovolar's Huntmaster off the splash. Absolutely brutal way to start this match. Give +4/+O trample wherever they want it. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 +4. Oh my god, the pack leader just has things fight. We literally can't block well. Because they can just have their 7/7 fight something. Like if we triple block the 7/7, they just have the 4/4 fight one of these two, and the 7/7 wins and kills everything else. If we triple block over here, they have the 7/7 fight the 3/6. They kill our 3/6, kill these 2. This does die, but then they draw 3 cards and deal 13 to us. Yeah, no, I'm just out of this one. This is their draft deck turned into a constructed deck real fast there. Some werewolf tribal out of nowhere. Devastating stuff. Well, burn down the house doesn't even do it because it's not going to kill their 6/6. It's just not going to kill the pack leader. Tovolar's Huntmaster, Tovolar's pack leader, and that is the more devastating card because Tovolar wouldn't even have done anything without the pack leader alongside it. So I really don't see the need for burn down the house here. We really just are. We're going to have to play our Stranglers a lot more defensively to where we really just hold on to those Stranglers for dear life because we really need our targeted removal. We need Cover Up, Defenestrate, Eaten Alive, all that kind of stuff, Revenge of the Drowned to deal with Huntmaster. I guess Revenge is pretty bad at dealing with Huntmaster, but the rest of them are definitely ways. Moonrager Slash can deal with Tovolar. Yeah, don't really have the sideboard for this. Let's just get in there. Slow hand, but Defenestrate and Hobbling Zombie are both excellent against the big werewolf cards we're scared of. So I believe that'll keep it here. Just grab our red source off of Evolving Wilds. Got our splash at the ready. So we have all of the colors we need. Falcon Abomination turn 3 is a possibility now. Pretty good draw. Turn 2 from our opponent, the Candlegrove Witch, 2 mana 2/2, gains flying when they have Coven. Just try to race them a bit here with our Falcon Abomination. Although a trade into the Witch wouldn't be that bad. Timberland Guide, they're going to turn into a 3/3, so now we cannot trade, so we'll just take that 3. But an Organ Hoarder is big enough to block it until they hit Coven, so let's get that onto the board here. Even with Coven, Gale Drifter could block it, so that could be an option that's pretty exciting. Yeah, I kind of like Gale Drifter, actually. Because we don't really need to draw cards off of Organ Hoarders. We have our plays lined up for a few turns here. We can wait on the Organ Hoarders till next turn. We just cast Gale Drifter now. And then we still have Defenestrate and Hobbling Zombie, so we have the interaction already. We're not really missing anything in hand that we need to pull out with the Organ Hoarders. Could take the 3 and just start hitting them for 5 a turn in the sky here. If they can't trigger Coven, because they only have these 2 creatures, we actually do outrace them. So we'll just take it here. Maybe we do just attack in with these flyers. Yeah, Path to the Festival just grab that red source for our opponent and they scry 1 here. No, they just choose to grab the forest because they need double green for something. Alright. Yeah, just try to outrace here. Now here's the Organ Hoarder. Nebelgast Intruder is pretty huge. Get some more flying power on the board and slow our opponent down. Although next turn we'll have 5 mana, so getting a 2 mana card like the Interloper or Strangler is also good, because then we can cast Defenestrate or Hobbling Zombie and still cast a flyer. I've actually convinced myself I like Interloper a little better than Intruder because of that. Because if we grab Intruder, sure, if we draw land next turn, then we can go Intruder, Defenestrate, but this is just like guaranteed. A 2/1 flyer on the board and the great interaction there. And that's an easy trade this time. So this may be the +3/+3 pump spell, but then their mana's choked there. They don't get to spend 4 or 5 on a creature. They have to spend it on pump spell. Clear Shot, though. Clear Shot's a really nice card for them to have, because then they get to win that combat and clear out one of our flyers. Moonrager Slash in hand is awesome here. I think we want to cash in this zombie for the 2 damage. And then I think like Interloper, hold up Defenestrate, as I was saying before. Just kill that Candlegrove Witch. Although we're at 13, it doesn't really matter unless they hold it up as a blocker, so we can just play Hobbling Zombie instead. And if they hold it up as a blocker, all it's blocking is our ground creature, which is just a 2/2. We're still dealing 5 guaranteed in the sky. Yeah, I mean, this is... If they don't have another removal spell, they are dead next turn. Moonrager Slash to the face, plus 5 flying damage. We will see here. Dawnheart Wardens, another creature on the ground. Pass the turn. I haven't eaten alive, but Candlegrove Witch only gains flying during their turn. So it doesn't matter here. Just attack for 5, see if it goes through. Goes through, see if they have instant speed life gain. If not, that will be 1/1 in round 4. Alright, 1/1. It all comes down to this. I think this is a pretty decent matchup for us. Discounting their bombs, they have some very good bombs in their deck for sure. But the mana fixing and the mana base required to get to those bombs does slow them down a little bit with the path there they had to spend the 3 on, which gives us the time to set up our own plan and try to get there with our flyers. So I think it could really go either way. This does feel like a 50-50 matchup where kind of a good matchup in general, but definitely a terrible matchup if they hit the bombs. They have some sweet cards in the deck for sure. So we'll see how it all goes here in what could be the final game of the video. This is not what we want to see here. We do really need to draw runner, just good stuff after this to get there, but we do have both colors, a guaranteed start to the game with a turn 2 and turn 3 play. We're on the draw. Gonna keep it here. We have our primary colors. We have plays for the early game. And the lands so that any non-land card outside of our red cards are good draws. So most non-land cards are good draws for us. Alright, Vengeful Strangler. Get out here and start choking our opponent, please. Metaphorically. Path to the Festival, turn 3, so they do take a turn off to do that. Just have a Pestilent Wolf here, they may be wanting to trade with the Strangler. If not, they'll send in for 2. I hope they send in for 2, because after seeing the big stuff in their deck, I don't think we want to just trade off the Strangler early game when they could have bigger stuff later. Okay. So send in the Strangler. Actually, I am excited about Outlaw getting a 3-2 on this board, but we don't have anything to clear their board state, so they probably would just block with the Wolf anyway, and they'll have plenty more creatures on the ground, so I feel like the Flyer's probably better. As nice of an initial swing as the Outlaw could be. Audric's Outrider. So whenever one of their cards dies, they now put a +1/+1 counter on another creature they control. So we are just attacking in with Abomination and Strangler here. Probably Outlaw and Larder Zombie. Don't feel the need for a Death Toucher just yet. Let's put out a better attacker first. Actually, the Death Toucher is the better attacker. I guess we'll see where they put the counters if they kill the Strangler here. Alright, down to 14. Yeah, I mean, we're going to have a 3-2 against their 2-force. It's not actually a great attacker. Sure, it gets that great enter the battlefield effect, but we can do that later. Hobbling Zombie's just the better attacker because it trades with anything they block with. Like, I guess they just block it with Wolf, but quite unlikely that the Outlaw does much for us. And Zombie's also just a way better blocker too, so we'll get the Zombie out here. This is the 3 creatures we need to set up our next draw with Larder Zombie. Make sure we don't hit another land here, but we've drawn quite well so far. The only land we've drawn all game has been the red source that we were missing. So we've drawn just excellently. So they're just going to go aggressive right back at us. I don't know what they could have here to make this bad for us. We're at 18, so I think we just take it. No blocks here. Do they have a burn down the house as well? That would be brutal. Yeah, a board wipe would be really good for them here. That would make this attack make a ton of sense. But I guess neither of these creatures block particularly well for them anyway, so. Candlegrove Witch is the place. They're just sneaking in some damage there. Could have maybe done Larder Zombie on Outrider since it doesn't help us attack anyway. But it does set up the draws, which is important here. We only have one more card to play, so it's definitely giving us value. Alright. So if we attack with everybody, they can block our Hobbling Zombie and take 6. Taking 6, they would go to 8 life, and then we cast an Outlaw, which puts them to 6 life. Pretty spicy. Pretty spicy, but we can also just hold back the zombie so that we can actually use Larder Zombie, which is also pretty good. Candlegrove Witch will be probably dying here, which puts a counter on Outrider. Well, Outrider puts a counter wherever they want. So that's a little not ideal. Yeah, maybe not sending in the Hobbling Zombie then. Just these 2. Alright, Outlaw's going to hit them a little more. Down to 8 now. Got a pretty wide board. We're hitting them for 2 a turn guaranteed from this point on. They're on a 4-turn clock here, but that is more than long enough for them to draw something pretty sweet to get out of this. This time, I should have just blocked with larger zombie last turn, but I'll definitely block with it this time. Because if they want to use a combat trick to kill our scry card, that's actually fine here. So it was clear shot here. It might have been clear shot last turn as well. The clear shot has definitely been super sweet. Let's go ahead and get our land into the graveyard. Well, there goes the Flyers. They are no longer on a consistent clock. Moonrager Slash. Is that enough? If they let Arrogant Outlaw through, they just immediately die. If they kill Vengeful Strangler, they die on our next turn. We're at 16. So we can take quite the crackback. I think we have to just go for it here. Because if Outlaw gets through or if Strangler dies, either of those things happen, we win. Okay. So we just put them to 4, which is essentially putting them to 1 with Moonrager Slash. We could finish off the Outrider if we really want to. But I don't think we want to. I think the fact that just one thing hitting them finishes this game is pretty huge. So just attack both next turn and see what happens. Because then like they have to block Strangler, and if Strangler dies, then we kill them with the 1 life loss from Strangler. So yeah, we just attack with Strangler. If they can't kill us in 2 attacks, we win. Okay, so yeah, just attack with Strangler here. They die to 2 damage plus Slash, or they die to Strangler's ability next turn. And we get to hold up Cover Up. Okay, that makes me feel real comfortable. I love that. Just doof. Let's throw it on the Hound Tamer here, I suppose. So if they do not kill us here, we are good, and we have Cover Up to try to protect ourselves. Plus, now they're more incentivized not to fully try to kill us here because we have a Decayed Zombie, and they know if this hits them, they are going real low. So just the Untamed Pup. The Loyal Griff to bounce it back to their hand so they don't lose the life. Yeah, let's cover that right up. Shuffle these back in. I guess mainly so they don't lose the creature if they don't know we have Slash here. But I feel like they probably know we have Slash because it's been holding on us and the way we've been playing. But that's going to be it here. They lose a life, and then we slash them. They have 1 red mana up. Nothing that'll save them from the lethal. So 3-0, and that is 2-1 in that round. We are at 3 wins. We are in the money. We have spent the cost of 2 Premier Drafts to get 2 Premier Draft tokens, and a stack of packs on top of that. So that is where these draft challenges really feel good. We're just getting 6 packs here for free, pretty much. And of course, all of the gameplay that we've done here, so that means we're going to continue on here. As I said before, these drafts can go long, so make sure to grab a drink, grab a snack, or divvy up this video into multiple viewings for sure. I can't in good conscience recommend watching the entire gigantic chunky draft every time that it's uploaded. Alright, we'll keep this, all 3 colors, sure. Turn 2 play, cheap interaction with Defenestrate. See where this hand goes from here. But some hard-fought matches for sure. In these draft challenges, you are getting some very good opponents. Some well-drafted decks for sure. Some powerful stuff. So our opponent this game unfortunately did have to mulligan a bit, and now it looks like they're stuck on double black to start off this game. Luckily for them, we do not have a particularly aggressive start here. we're not going to cast anything else till like turn 5, so just keep slapping in with our Observer. There is the blue source here, turn 3 for our opponent, and a Stromkirk Blood Thief will be the first play. That goes off if they keep hitting us, but it doesn't really do anything by itself, so I'm just going to let it hang out. And we'll just block with our Observer if they attack in. There's an argument for killing it and then just attacking with Observer still to keep the pressure on, but we don't really have the follow-up on that unless we immediately hit the turn 5 land. So because we don't have much follow-through on that aggression, I'm just gonna hang out here and play it defensive for the late game plays. And another Stromkirk Blood Thief. If I hit a land, I'm not really going to have the time to hold up cover up because I'm just going to keep slamming down 5 mana spells over and over and over again. So I think I kind of just want to cover up right now just because it's when I have the mana to actually do it. Right, well, there's the 5th land. Unfortunately, it will come into play tapped, so it will still be a short while before we're casting the 5 drops. And again, our Observer is going to hold everything at bay here, so we'll hold our Defenestrate for scarier cards. Arrogant Outlaw from our opponent. They have not dealt any damage to us, so just a 3-2 on this board. The Blood Thief does get bigger every time that we've lost life, so I'm pretty worried about that ability. Definitely more worried about that than the Outlaw. Necrosynthesis. Whenever another creature dies, put a +1/+1 counter on it, and when this creature dies, they get to look at the top X cards where it's power, put the 1 into their hand and the rest on bottom. So they get to draw off of that if we kill it at any later time, so I'm just going to kill it right now. And get the 2-for-1 while we can. That does mean that the Stromkirk Blood Thief gets to remain, but we know we have 5 mana this turn, which means we'll have at least a 3/6 out. We'll have some big stuff to block this anyway, so... Moonrager Slash at the draw actually makes me want to cast Storm Skrillex over the Amalgam, because it'll block the Blood Thief just as well, and it will attack for more, because now we can just cast a Moonrager Slash to kill that, and buff this for the extra damage, so we'll be hitting for 4 in the sky from its ability there. The build your own air elemental there. 3 cards in our opponent's hand now. Definitely feeling the pain of the mulligans for sure. Don't have too much to play around with there. Blood Tithe Collector is the play. That would make us discard a card if we lost life this turn, but luckily having the creatures to block means we have not had to deal with any of their life loss effects like that. So very free attack with Skrillex here. If they block, we get to kill Blood Thief and Collector with Moonrager Slash, which is beautiful. Otherwise, we're just going to kill the Blood Thief and then probably Intruder. Actually, we could also just deal 2 damage here, and then we could Intruder plus Slash to kill Collector. But I'm not all that worried about taking 3 damage a turn. When we're at 20, they're at 16, and we can deal more damage. Yeah, let's just stay with the aggressive line there. Another line we could do is more Crypt Behemoth sacking the Observer. That would be pretty spicy. Have a 7/6 Menace on the board. Just deal the 2 damage that turn. It's a possibility, but this way we put a lot of power on the board as well. We'll have just 4 power flyers shipping in every turn. And if they do want to attack with Collector, that means Observer gets to get in unless they play more cards. No way out. Well, I think I discard Amalgam Behemoth here, probably. Well, we can't attack well against the Collector with the Intruder. So maybe it's just Behemoth Intruder. Or, I'm sorry, just keep Behemoth. Amalgam can attack well with its ability, but Behemoth hits so much harder. 7 power. Discard these 2. Keep the Morkrut Behemoth. Alright, hit a land here. So we are 1 mana away from casting Behemoth without having to sacrifice something, but Observer doesn't super affect this game, and getting Behemoth out 1 turn earlier will probably. So we'll threaten an instant or sorcery here by attacking in. They may not block because they may be scared of an instant or sorcery. They do go for the block. So we will bounce off each other, but here is the Morcrit Behemoth. Sack that Observer. Start attacking with that 7 power unblockable card. It does have Menace, so if they get 2 creatures, they can block it. So they do have Olivia's Midnight Ambush to go ahead and finish off our Storm Skrillex. So that actually made that attack pretty bad there. I was assuming in a black or blue deck, most of their removal could just kill the Skrillex anyway. But technically, Olivia's Midnight Ambush only kills the Skrillex if it is nighttime. So the fact that it wasn't nighttime means it would not have killed it if we did not attack in. So that played pretty poorly. We don't have a good attack here. So we just cast Larder Zombie and we're in a top deck war. I absolutely despise top deck wars, but that's where we're at. I'm sure our opponent is not a fan of this position either. This game is certainly going to come down to who will draw the good stuff first, and it might be our opponent here. If this is the attack they're going with, I would not expect they do this unless they have a great blocker to cast or a removal spell to just kill our Behemoth. Alright, Covert Cutpurse. Well, a great blocker to cast it is. They can double block with Collector and Cutpurse. Sure, they go down a card that way, but then the Cutpurse comes back as the Geist, which is a flying Death Toucher. I guess then they couldn't block the Behemoth unless they block with multiple stuff, so I think the attack is still good here. Unless they have a Blade Brand or something in hand. We'll see. Yeah, the block would have went super bad. We'd lose Behemoth and Zombie. They would just lose Behemoth. So no blocks. Outlaw going to put them down to 3 life then. Making even Arrogant Outlaw a lethal attacker. So Arrogant Outlaw was a pretty sweet top deck for us. Although Cutpurse, pretty sweet top deck for our opponent as well. We're both drawing good so far. Take 7 here. And that means lethal on board if they don't have another creature. They do have another creature. Gale Drifter it is. So we no longer have lethal on board. If we attack all, they can double block Behemoth here and then just kill Outlaw without losing a creature. That would be bad. They could also just kill our whole board by double blocking Behemoth with these 2 3-power creatures and Outlaw with the 2-power creature. So they'd clear the whole board, have a 7-power Menace creature out, and cast a 2/2 Flying Death Toucher. Our attacks are abysmal now. Yeah, Gale Drifter definitely works out pretty well for our opponent. We have unfortunately cast our only Moonrager Slash, so we can't top deck a Moonrager Slash here. We could top deck an Eaten Alive, something like that. Could get us out of this. If they get too aggressive with their attacks here. And Larder Zombie helps us draw like 1 more card. Alright, at 8 life we're going to have to block something here. We have to block the Behemoth or we have to block the Cutpurse. If we block the Cutpurse, then they're going to have a 2/2 Flying Death Toucher on the board. That's going to be 3 blockers. So they've drawn Cutpurse into Gale Drifter into whatever this card this turn is. I think we have to bank on them having drawn a basic, because if they've drawn a basic, then we could just double block Behemoth and take 2. Then by having only 2 blockers back, Eaten Alive would be a lethal top deck, Revenge of the Drowned would be a lethal top deck. I think our top deck that gives us the most chance at winning here, or our play that gives us the most shots at winning, would be to keep just a Behemoth on the board and don't let them get Cutpurse back. Because alternatively, we block there. We keep all of our creatures, sure, but then they're going to have 3 blockers against our menace creature and our 3/2. Which I guess we could still just find lethal the same way to 1 removal spell. So we win with 1 removal spell drawn either way, I guess. In which case, maybe it is better to block the cut purse. Right, because if they have 3 creatures left and we eat and alive one of them, we attack with Behemoth and Outlaw. They have to double block Behemoth and block Outlaw. No, that is not better, because they have the 3 creatures to block those 2. Okay, yeah. I was correct. I almost mathed myself out of it, but we block here, because if we do the cut purse block, we have 2 attackers against 3 blockers. 2 of their blockers go on the menace, 1 goes on the 1. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's like the same thing either way, because a removal spell wins against the 3 blockers, and a removal spell wins against the 2 blockers. Actually, oh my god. I'm talking myself in and out of this so much. I'm going to go this way, because this way makes it so if the last card in their hand is another creature, they can't just slam it down and have 3 blockers when we only have 1 attacker left. So if I do the double block here on Behemoth, their last card in hand could be another creature, and they could just slam it down. But this way, if their last card in hand is another creature, they still have to cast the Covert Cut Purse from the grave as the Covetous Geist, which soaks up all of their mana. So they can only play 1 more creature here. So either way, we have the win if we top deck removal by doing it like this, whether their card in hand's a creature or not. So removal spell, fingers crossed, that is our only out. Interloper is not that, so that is going to be game. Either way, we played it out there. So starting off 0-1 here, gonna have to make the comeback. Again, I think I'm just gonna keep it as is. Just kind of chilling. We are reaching that point in the recording where this is a lot of Magic even for me, so my brain is getting real frazzled. But that is just a constant state of being. So our opponent is actually making some sideboarding decisions here. It is taking a little while to get into the next game. So I wonder what they could be doing here. They are blue-black, right? Blood Tithe Collector, more Crit Behemoth being the big finishers that game. I'm trying to think of like sideboard options in blue-black, and there's not a lot, because most of the good blue-black cards are just good in any match. Could be like counter spells and stuff you'd want to play against slower decks, but not faster decks. They could be moving into that, since that game did take pretty long. It's going to take a little while, but we have all of our colors here. Just grab the blue source turn 1. You're pretty fine with this. Got plays for the first several turns. Ooh, Falcon Abomination for turn 3 now. That's super sweet. Alright, so just past the turn 2. I think we'll just be slamming down a Falcon Abomination, start getting there in the sky, but Strangler's good too. We can cast Strangler and another spell next turn pretty easily. Strangler Zombie. Because we only have 1 blue mana, so we would need double blue to play Larder Zombie and Nebelgast Intruder, so I could see going with these 2 instead if the board stays clear. Or if they play something that's like more than 2 toughness, because then this dies and kills whatever blocked it. So Blood Thief there. Against Blood Thief, I'm a little less excited to play Strangler, because if they don't play another creature, we're not going to love attacking in with it. It's just a 1-for-1 trade, but still just take our 1-for-1 trades and we can get them, I guess. Sending the team. We do have a larger zombie here, so I'm going to hold on to this decayed zombie token rather than cash it in immediately. Go for the intruder here. Again, because I'm not that excited to one-for-one trade a Strangler into another card. Like to get the max value off of it, and this way we might even get them to attack with the Blood Thief, so they don't have it as a blocker. That doesn't matter too much because they probably already didn't want to block, but we can shut off its ability to get a counter here. Kind of shut off their game plan. And we can actually block as well. We've reached the point where I didn't realize we could block until I made that play. So yeah, that plays way better because we just kill that. All right, they have a 4/3 out. That is the kind of card we're really just going to want removal for. Whenever it becomes blocked, each creature blocking it gets -1/-1. Yeah, it's just a big old 4/3, blocks pretty well. So just get in there in the sky for now. Play a big old 7/6 Menace here, you think? Or play the Strangler. If we play the Strangler here, we can sack it to the Menace creature next turn. We can throw that onto something. They're at 14 life. Kind of like just curving out super aggressively here with the gigantic 5-drop on turn 5. Rather than the fancy plays with the Strangler. Although they would have been pretty good too. Just slower. So it is turn 5 for our opponent now. 4 black mana and 1 blue up with a Baneblade Scoundrel on the board. Arrogant Outlaws the play to have another blocker. They have a 4/3 and a 3/2 to block with. But we have 4 power in the sky. We're guaranteed hitting them for 4, putting them down to 6. Necrosynthesis as well when we're tapped out, so that card is going to go off this time. Their creature is going to get a +1/+1 counter when another creature dies, and when that creature dies, they get to look at the top 3 cards and put 1 into their hand. So Necrosynthesis is going to draw them a card now. They are going to have to block Behemoth to survive here, so we could just go for an all-out attack and hit for 6, put them down to 4 life. Yeah, the only way they win is if they double block Behemoth, so that seems correct to me, and then we just play Strangler Zombie. Just have a big old board. We have lethal damage in the sky next turn. They have to draw a flyer off of their Necrosynthesis to survive here. And we'll just hope they don't do that. Yep, lethal damage in the sky, plus some creatures on the ground to help finish it off. So they are now digging through the top 3 cards of the library, putting 1 into hand and the rest on bottom. Alright. 5 mana up. We have 4 2-power creatures on this board. They're going to have to kill 2 of these creatures or kill 1 and play a blocker for 1. So they will have to do a lot. And they're going to scoop them up there. So that will be 1 and 1, evening it out, leading to another really intense game 3. It can go either way. Another pretty even match, very similar decks here between ourselves and our opponent. So again, could really go either way. And if this is a loss, this will end the whole event, but if it's a win, that would be 4 wins. After the first match loss, I think our first round was the loss, but I could be wrong there. So here we are, game 3 of round 5, right? 3 wins and 1 loss? Yeah. Alright, well this is not keepable. We're going to have to mulligan that. This is much better, but still a bit weird. We do have Behemoth Strangler combo, which is pretty cool, but I'm probably going to have to get rid of Behemoth here just because it's a 7-mana card. Luckily, we have Evolving Wilds to shuffle our deck, so we could still redraw the Behemoth to go with Strangler. That would be pretty sweet. But yeah, this way we have all the mana we need to cast everything in our hand. And we definitely want a lot of lands in this hand with a Mysterious Tome in hand. We'll want to keep spending a lot of mana to draw a bunch of cards off that. So our opponent is on the play this time. And I believe they did not mulligan, so they start off turn 2, Swamp and Island. We're going to go ahead and just turn 2 Strangler, I think. We do have an Unblinking Observer as well, but I'd rather have a Strangler on the board than that, because Observer is going to do basically the same thing. And we're probably going to play like turn 3 Mysterious Tome if they play a blocker here. Turn 3 Hobbling Zombie. So I don't know when the death triggers go on the stack, so I don't know if they'll get the Decayed Zombie before I flip this into Grasp, but drawing Nebelgast Intruder makes this attack super easy, because now we'll just make sure our Strangler still survives after this attack, if they do take the block. Alright, so we'll just make sure Strangler survives to live another day. And strangle something else. Even if it could have strangled the Decayed Zombie token. Which I'm not sure if it could have. Plus now we have a flyer out, which as we saw last game is pretty huge. Falcon Abomination, our opponent has a flyer out as well. Love to push that out the window, but it would survive. Just fly away. Get a little angry at me. Moonrager's Slash will do it, though. Just clear that out with that, and they have no creatures that can block on the board after we do that. Seems pretty sick to me. Just hit for 4 here by doing that. And our opponent is stuck on 3 mana. They played a 3 mana card last turn and a 3 mana card this turn. So if that persists, these 2 creatures on board could be enough to close out the game. There is the 4th land there from our opponent. Gale Drifter is the play. That is going to be a huge one. That can trade off with 2 of our flyers. It would trade off with Intruder and then come back from the grave as another 2/2 flyer. So Gale Drifter is massive here. We'll keep attacking with Strangler, but that's a big deal. Luckily for us, Mysterious Tome should be a pretty big deal too, drawing us a card every other turn and tapping down Gale Drifter on the turns where we're not drawing cards. So now is where we're going to get that Mysterious Tome out here and active. And I wouldn't have been surprised there if they just took the trade for the Strangler, because that wouldn't go that badly for them. I would only be able to slap my Strangling Grasp on a Decayed Zombie token, and they could just attack with the Zombie token anyway. So basically, I would just be trading the Strangler for Gale Drifter, which they could bring back once they have 5 mana, but they just now hit their 4th land, so they're not guaranteed to hit the 5th mana immediately. They did, so they could have gotten Gale Drifter back immediately, but they didn't know that they would be able to recast it for sure. So there was an argument for either way, blocking or not blocking with that Gale Drifter there, just to get that Strangler's annoying business out of here. So 4 cards in hand for our opponent and 5 mana up. See what's coming down here. Still feeling pretty good about our position with Nebelgast Intruder and Vengeful Strangler. Ooh, alright. Well, that's got me scared. That was an all attack. Send in the 3/2 flyer, send in the 2 Decayed Zombies. No blocks for me. I'll go down to 13 here. But very curious to see what this means. I guess that could be just them knowing that Chilling Chronicle is going to tap their flyer anyway, so might as well. Blood Scythe Collector is what it is. Luckily, we've got a Blinking Observer sitting here doing absolutely nothing. Although Angler comes back as a flyer from the grave, and we don't really want it as a 2/1 on the board anyway, so really either of these fine. Yeah, we'll discard Angler, I suppose. Alright, Organ Hoarder is the draw. Well, that's definitely the play this turn. So we can tap down their Blood Scythe Collector so that the Intruder can get in, and we attack for 4, putting them down to 10, but then they attack us for 6, putting us down to 7. It's going to be a close race here, but they are winning it with a 3/4 flyer on the board now with Blood Scythe Collector, plus the big swing from the Decayed Zombies. We do have the Chump Blocker to play. The Hunt Drifter is a 1/2 flyer. I think the play's got to be Organ Hoarder and tap down the Collector here. I think that's just the best we have. But I am definitely worried. Hit a Hobbling Zombie or a land. I don't remember if I played a land this turn. I don't think I did, so if I hit a land, I guess it wouldn't matter because I need the 1 mana for Chilling Chronicle anyway, so I guess Hobbling Zombie it is. So yeah, even if I hit a land there, I still just use the mana on Chilling Chronicle. I don't get to recast Hunt Drifter or anything. I guess we could use Chronicle to prevent them from attacking with Collector, and then we just block Gale Drifter, but then they play Whale Drifter, and that plays pretty poorly for us. We just turn their 3/2 into a 2/2 and get rid of our 2/1 flyer permanently. Yeah, I think I'm staying aggressive here. So the other option would be just send in Strangler for the 2 damage and hold up the Tome to tap down one of the 2 flyers. But I decided against that. I'm hoping that the Chump Block from the Hunt Drifter is enough to push the race in our favor, with each player just tapping out every turn. But an Arrogant Outlaw is going to be a huge swing in their favor for the race. A 3/2 onto their board, and they gain 2 life and deal 2 damage to us. So we can kill that with Defenestrate, but then we just die to their flyers if we don't play our 1/2 flyer to block with, or if they have a removal spell. Do we let them just win if they have a removal spell? How could we survive even if they have removal? We can't. We can only have 1 flyer here. I guess if we play Defenestrate and then attack with everything except the Intruder, we're hitting them for 5. They go down to 7 life. Then we have 2 flying blockers, so even if they have removal, we get back. But we can also hit them for 7, putting them to 5 life, which makes it way more likely that we can find lethal in the turn after. So we could just bank on them not having removal. Our opponent has instant speed interaction for 2 here, so they just have removal. Olivia's Midnight Ambush to kill one of our flyers here. Kill the Intruder. So we need to hold back a flyer so that we have 2 flyers to block with, because they kill one and we block with the other one. So here's the Hunt Drifter, 2 mana up from our opponent. We'll see what it is. I feel like it's Olivia's Midnight Ambush to kill the 2/1 flyer, so all we have left is a Chump Blocker. If they have 2 removal spells, we still just die. But if we get another draw step and they play this really aggressively, then we still have 1 or 2 outs. We could hit Arrogant Outlaw to drain them back, and that would win the game. Hit for 5 plus drain for 2 if they play it aggressively still. Eaten Alive wouldn't get us there, but it's cool. Gale Drifter, Storm Skrillex, these are all cards that would have been outs earlier, but I don't think anymore. I think our only out here... Oh, Geist Wave, that works just as well. Get rid of one of the blockers would have killed us if we didn't have 2 flyers. Yeah, I think our only real hope here is that they just all-out attack here, don't have any more blockers, and then we draw Arrogant Outlaw. So it's looking pretty unlikely here. But we'll see how things play out. Some unlikely things have happened in some earlier rounds. Definitely not out of it yet, not just going to scoop them up here. We don't want to give them another creature to cast in hand, so we're just going to block Blood Scythe Collector. This way, if they don't have anything in hand, if it's just all basic lands in hand, they can't just slam down a Gale Drifter and have the blocker to block to this damage. Alright, well, Bat Whisper and Handmaids, we're mega dead. Yeah, we're just mega dead there. Close game, all things considered. Close match in general, but that is going to close it out with a 3-2 run for our very first Innistrad Midnight Hunt Draft Challenge on the channel. Overall, pretty happy with that. Definitely some good rewards. Definitely a slightly above average win rate. I'll take it. Especially for this deck. This deck was a bit wonky. Probably played around with the red cards way too long. Should have committed to some color pair earlier on. We still ended up with some good high-quality cards, the Organ Hoarders, Slash, the good removal, stuff like that. It played out pretty okay with a 3-2 run there, so not a bad way to start off the drafts, but I will definitely be back again soon with more of these. I'm going to be playing at least a few of these in the coming days, so if you are interested in seeing more Magic Arena content, specifically more limited content, we'll have plenty of that coming to you in the near future. Just stick around on the channel. You can like, comment, and subscribe to let the YouTube algorithm know you're enjoying the videos and want more sent into your notifications. So, as always, thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.